TMH are all suffering from gunshot wounds as a result of the active shooter. That's the latest I have on the condition of those patients. That's the latest I'll have at this moment. But in conversations with students who were both on and off campus, a lot of them are just in shock, as you can understand.
Thank you so much, Alberto, for that. And we'll check back in with you in just a little bit. And just want to remind you about the FSU alert that went out. They are asking students to continue to shelter in place, along with the faculty, the staff who are still on campus. Law enforcement, they are actively clearing rooms on the main campus. Law enforcement officers will use the safe word Seminole to confirm it is safe. So certainly we're going to bring you Governor DeSantis's reaction coming up here. You can see he posted on X, our prayers are with our FSU family, and state law enforcement is actively responding. So this is just the start of reaction from our lawmakers and politicians. We will certainly be hearing more, I'm sure, in the coming hours, the coming days, as this is something that is unforgettable happening at Florida State University. It is 3:01 now. The shooting happened about 3 hours ago on Florida State University's campus. We are taking a live look now at the campus. This is where Kenya Cardone is stationed. You could in the background being moved to buses. You can see one of the buses there. They're taking students to the Reunification Center. That is where the students are able to call their families, get in touch with their loved ones. And also, Senator Rick Scott is sending a message too from X. We'll get that in here in just a second. But this is a live look at the scene there. Law enforcement from all around the state coming together to help Florida State in this time of need. Certainly something that is shaking the Florida State University campus and even Tallahassee, because Tallahassee has been the scene of some big shootings in recent years there. The crime scene tape is still up at Florida State University. You can see law enforcement vehicles there, dozens of law enforcement on the scene. They're actively investigating, and many concerned parents are calling, trying to get some information. But Commissioner Brian Welch said they are setting up a hotline for folks to call. So we'll stay tuned for that and bring you the latest information. But Rick Scott, Senator Rick Scott, posting on X, praying for the safety of everyone at FSU and a swift recovery for those injured. Touch with local law enforcement and continues to monitor the situation. Students should continue to follow directions from school officials. Many roads blocked off around the campus, and the community is being asked to stay away from the campus because roads around the area are blocked off as students get to safety, as law enforcement continue investigating. So again, this is the area near the Love Building. Kenya Cardone is in the area talking to students as they leave the campus. And the Senate President, Ben Albritton, is sharing a message on X. From our vantage point here in the Senate, we can see and hear many first responder vehicles rushing to FSU. Grateful for their courage, praying for the entire FSU community. Many tributes coming in today from politicians, even Attorney General Pam Bondi issuing a message here on social media. The FBI is on the scene at Florida State, and we are in communication with agents on the ground. Our priority is the safety of everyone involved. We will keep updating as we learn more, praying for all. And you'll recall Pam Bondi was Attorney General of Florida, so it certainly hits home for her as well. Many officials stating their thoughts and prayers to the FSU community. FSU is certainly going to need these prayers as they move through this situation. The press conference will be coming in 55 minutes. Maya Sargent is there. She'll be asking the questions that we hope will bring a sense of relief to people who are watching this situation intently from around the nation, around Florida, and right here in Tallahassee. Taking a live look there as law enforcement are there investigating and keeping the community safe. We have multiple injuries from the shooting on campus. We do know 6 people were shot. 1 is in critical condition. 5 others have serious injuries. So we saw them on the ambulance in our previous video of them being taken to the hospital. You can see some law enforcement with their long guns out as they investigate the scene, as they secure the scene. You could hear sirens as the shooting was happening, and the sirens have been going on for quite some time after that. So a lot of questions we're hoping to get some answers to and find out if those victims' injuries, where they took place, and how serious the injuries are there for those people. Students leaving the campus today, just shell-shocked, confused. It's definitely a wait-and-see situation as far as many details come out, and hoping to hear those many details in the news conference. And we're going to take a look at some other video to show that ambulance, Leon County EMS on the scene there. You can see law enforcement making phone calls, just possibly talking about the investigation, what they've seen out there. You can see many of those patients, they were rushed to the hospital. You can see one of the law enforcement officers, you can see putting handcuffs there on that bed in the ambulance. So we got to find out what is happening with that, and who that person might have been, if they were related to the shooting or something else unrelated. And many students being bused to the Reunification campus. You can see them there with their hands up. You just can't imagine the thoughts that are running through their mind as they started their day just in class, just getting prepared for their future. And there is the crime scene there blocked off, and we're waiting word to find out what the actual situation was, how the shooter was on the campus, any kind of details they can provide. We're hoping to learn more as the day continues to unfold. So we're getting reaction from many of the students and also politicians, and the Governor Ron DeSantis, posting this on X. Our prayers are with FSU, or with FSU family, and state law enforcement is actively responding. So, of course, many comments coming out, and folks sharing their message on there to hopefully bring some relief to the FSU community. You can see there more law enforcement with their guns, and the law enforcement officer there carrying shackles. So we're not sure who was in that ambulance or what happened there, but the Associated Press did say one person is in custody. More details hopefully will be provided soon, and Mayor Sergeant is at the news conference that is going to start in just a little bit at 4 o'clock expected. So we will get some more information, but students reported hearing gunshots, and their classmates may have been the ones that are in the hospital. So that's certainly something to think about, but we certainly send our thoughts from WTXL ABC 27 to the FSU community and those injured and those loved ones, and really just the FSU community as a whole. It's certainly a lot to deal with, and will be on the minds and hearts forever of the FSU community this day, April 17th. So we are getting some more comments from many of the people in our local legislature. Senator President Ben Albritton issued a statement on X saying, "From our vantage point here in the Senate, we can see and hear many first responder vehicles rushing to FSU, grateful for their courage and praying for the entire FSU community." So plenty of tributes, comments coming in, and we're certainly just thinking about FSU on this day. President Trump sending in some thoughts as well. The president himself. "I've been briefed on the Florida State University Tallahassee active shooter. It's a shame, horrible thing, horrible that things like this take place. We'll have more to say about it later." Waiting more comment from the president. Taking a live look now at the FSU campus from the area of the Love Building. Kenya Cardone has been talking to students walking by. She even asked them if they're okay as they pass by her, and she interviewed some students and concerned because they had to leave their cars on the campus, and they're just confused as to where to go. And we have more information coming in from near our student union building, and taking a look there at the law enforcement in the area. They are investigating the case and securing the campus there. You can see them with their law enforcement vehicles, the lights flashing, and in the distance, you could hear the sirens. So a lot happening on the campus of Florida State University today, an active shooter situation. The alert from FSU Alert came in at 12:01 p.m. hours into the investigation. Taking a live look where students were crossing that bridge there in the back and walking onto buses to get to the Reunification Center to get to a safe place and leave the campus, leaving behind their cars, their belongings, even their shoes. So just as fast as they could to get to safety. So we will be getting some more information from the news conference coming up in about 45 minutes now. So a countdown to learn more about what's happening there. FSU, they're asking folks to continue sheltering in place. They are asking students to wait till they hear the safe word from law enforcement if they're still in the building, or if faculty and staff are still in the building. They've been doing a sweep of campus, gathering any information, making sure people are safe, and helping students there. And we have Kenya Cardone, who is on the campus. She is bringing us more information. Kenya, tell us what the reaction has been from students you've talked to.
Hey everybody, yes, we're live from campus, same place we've been for quite some time now. Law enforcement still on the scene. Every now and then, students walking over that bridge, getting directed into public transportation. Still, law enforcement still continuing those efforts to get people to safety away from campus. And just a few moments ago, we bumped into Tanya here. Tanya, come on and step over here. We spoke with her. She says that she was very close to where it happened. Tanya, what were you doing when it happened?
So at the time that it was brought to my attention that something was happening, I was in my office speaking with a student about graduation, actually. I work on campus as an academic dean in one of the colleges. And as I was ending the call with the student, I heard and could see out of my window, because I have an office with a window, someone running, shouting, "They're shooting, they're shooting, they're shooting." And in that moment, I, of course, gathered myself and then alerted all of my staff, got them to a place where they were safe, and ensured that I let my supervisors know that something was happening in the building. And so, you don't expect these types of things. Certainly, it was pretty close to lunchtime, so typically a lot of my staff would have already left for lunch, maybe even been out walking. So we're thankful that everyone is safe. We got out of the building safe. The law enforcement officials took great care to make sure the building was safe and secure, and we all got out safe and secure.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that she was telling me was that she couldn't exactly see what was going on, but she could hear it. Can you describe what that sounded like?
It just sounded like really loud bangs when we were alerted that it sounded like there could have been an active shooter on campus, and so we could just hear the banging noise, loud bangs from where we were. Like I said, this is a time of the year where it's a really celebratory time. Students are looking forward to ending the school year, academic year rather. They're looking forward to graduation, and so not expecting this type of interruption in a day was somewhat shocking. It really was.
Absolutely, something that's going to leave a mark on the community for quite some time. I know that you said that, I want to divert into what you were saying. What were you feeling when you heard that sound? What was the first thought?
Well, I guess because I'm in a position where I oversee a group of people. My first thought was my staff. Where's my staff? How's everyone doing? And getting them to a place of safety. That was my thought in that moment. As soon as I became aware that yes, this is something serious. This isn't someone just playing around. I took what I heard to be shots as something serious. And my first thought was to alert everyone around me to get to a place of safety. And so that's what we did, make sure all of our staff around us was safe.
And one of the things we were talking about is that, you come to work. Did you expect anything like this could ever happen?
Absolutely not. Of course you hear about these things in the news, in the media, but never expect it to happen so close to you. And so, having this happen today, it certainly helps put in perspective how precious life is and how we don't take things for granted. So I'm really grateful to how everyone responded today, how the law enforcement officials, a quick response, because as soon as we heard shooting, there were law enforcement all around us. And so just seeing FSU rise to the occasion in the way that we know FSU can do. Everyone was strong. I saw resilience. I saw calm in that time of what could be chaos, but everything seemed to be organized in the way that it was handled as best as it could be in this like a really active moment. So
yeah, and another thing, you told me that you're not able to get to your car. So what's kind of next for you?
Well, my daughter's birthday is this weekend, and I was planning on traveling to where she is out of town to help celebrate her birthday, which it still will happen. That's just we are certainly thoughtful in our prayers of anyone and everyone who's been affected by this, but just really truly grateful for those that I have around me, my family, my friends. I'm all safe, just to be able to give hugs and just show how much I love them. Same to my staff, just so much love, and the FSU community and everyone around in Tallahassee, everyone that's affected. I thought certainly my sincere thoughts are with everyone on campus today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tanya, for giving that experience.
Absolutely.
I know that was tough, but we appreciate your insight from the incident. This is what it's looking like here. A lot of people telling me that they're just thankful that, their loved ones are safe. They are keeping those who were hurt in mind. They're worried about, just trying to get away from the situation, trying to find safety, making sure their loved ones have a way to get out as well. That's the current situation. We'll keep looking at things here, but Jade, you just heard it yourself there, just kind of reeling in from what is such a shocking incident.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot to take in. Thank you so much, Kenya. We'll check in with Kenya in just a little bit, and we're getting some information from from Speaker Perez. We are watching unfold at FSU is terrifying and every parent's worst nightmare. We're continuing to monitor the news here in Tallahassee and urge everyone to pray for the students, families, faculty, first responders, and all involved. Sending it out to Forrest Saunders, who is our Capitol reporter. And Forrest, what are you hearing from lawmakers?
We're good to go. I forgot to tell you to hit record. Yes.
Honestly, I've been here on this campus since noon, and we've been focused on the students and the lives of those students and how afraid they are about their safety following this, what sounds like it is, in fact, a mass shooting. We're still getting details, obviously, still waiting for more information. You have heard and seen on social media plenty of Florida's lawmakers put their condolences out there, their well wishes, It's important to note right now that the Florida legislature is working on repealing some of the post-Parkland gun reforms that were put in place in 2018. There is an ongoing effort to reduce the purchase age of long guns down to 18 again. Florida raised them to 21 following the Parkland massacre. There's also efforts to do full open carry. Those have not gotten traction this legislative session. And I bring them up only because they are top of mind when stuff like this happens. Critics will point to them and say this is a concern and this is something that we should be doing further restriction on, not opening up Florida's gun laws. That is something for the politicians to debate right now. Everyone is focused on the lives of those students that were in the student union behind me. I am standing, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 feet away from the student union. I was told by multiple students that this was the noon hour. This is when this thing was as busy as it usually gets. We're talking about people there for meals, meeting friends, doing research, working on their projects, studying. And all of a sudden the gunshots they rang out and people started running for their lives. In fact, I'm standing where people just dropped what was in their hands. There are bottles on the ground, soda just laying here, because when they heard those gunshots, they didn't know what else to do but just leave. Not far from here, and we've been talking about this, there is a green space where students were relaxing, sunbathing. They do this all the time because, hey, Florida's wonderful, we got great weather. But they left it all behind and vacated the area as fast as they could, leaving their laptops, half-eaten lunch, shoes on the grass. Right now, the last I saw from FSU was there was still a shelter-in-place order because they had to go door to door to check all of these buildings. FSU, as you know, is a big campus, and they have to make sure that everyone is safe and secure and that there is no further threats in any of these buildings. In fact, just a few minutes ago, the restroom right by me, law enforcement came pounding on the door because someone was inside, still inside. They got him out, checked him over, let him go on his way. But that is an ongoing process. And part of the reason why you still have a large police presence here, they are continuing to monitor the situation and make sure that this place is safe. We are still waiting for more information. As I'm sure you've noted, 4 p.m. we are expected to hear a briefing from law enforcement as well as FSU personnel. That will be at 4 p.m. at the Turnbull Conference Center. We will have a crew there, I'm sure, to bring you the latest. But as far as the feeling, the mood here, one thing that people keep saying, didn't think it would ever happen to me. I didn't think it would ever happen to me. I've been in the journalism business now for 16 years. This is my first mass shooting. I am frustrated, I am sad, I am terrified because that's the human reaction to something like this. We will continue to monitor the situation. Obviously, you can see there is still so much going on. You've got FBI, marshals, FWC has police here, local police, Leon County sheriffs. This is a massive response, as it should be. And as soon as we know more information, we'll keep you posted, but that is the scene out here at the student union.
Yeah, it's certainly a situation we did not expect to happen there. Have you heard anything from the law enforcement there, Forrest?
Well, I've talked to a lot of students so far who've heard the gunshots. A number of them said that they heard at least 10, probably more. It was a considerable amount of gunfire. They were loud pops. A lot of people describe them as fireworks. I've seen some of the video that's circulating on social media. That is what it sounded like. A lot of people who were afraid. A number of injuries I witnessed myself, people being placed into ambulances, taken out of here. I can't give you any further detail on that, but they looked fairly traumatic. We have video of one individual who was in shackles and placed in an ambulance and taken from the scene by U.S. Marshals. I can't tell you more about that guy because I do not know, but it definitely has raised a lot of eyebrows as people wonder if he was involved or potentially the shooter that is reportedly in custody. We hope to find out more information, but just a lot of fear right now. A lot of people who are concerned for the well-being, not just of their friends, but their loved ones, moms, dads. They've shown up here at campus and started asking if anybody knows the status of their loved ones. So we're going to keep watching. and listening, more importantly, to find out what happens next.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. We'll check in with you in a little bit, but thank you again, Forrest Saunders there, our Capitol reporter. And I want to give you an update now. FSU is alerting their students that law enforcement has neutralized the threat.
Sorry about that.
Please
I just didn't want you to walk in on camera.
Union, Bellamy, HCB, Classroom Building, Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Hecht House, and Caraway, as they are still considered an active crime scene. So be aware of those buildings and avoid those areas there. Again, I'm going to say those names again. The Student Union, Bellamy, HCB, Classroom Building, Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Hecht House, and Caraway, as they are still considered an active crime scene. And we'll have more information on our website with further information about if you need emergency responders. That is on our website, WTXL.tv. But now we're going to head over to the Reunification Center. That's where students are being bused. And Ashley is out there now. Ashley, tell us what you're seeing, what you're finding out.
Yes, Jade, good afternoon. I'm here at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, where students are getting picked up by friends, family, and what Bree and I actually just saw was really emotional. You know, people are hugging, sighs of relief, being thankful that they are okay, praying with others, making sure that they're okay. But as we were saying all day today, that this was a tragic incident, and many people are coming here to reunite with friends and family, making sure everyone is okay.
Ashley, thank you for that. And you jumped into action to cover this story. Tell me about your day leading up to these events and what you're experiencing as a reporter out there.
Absolutely, Jade. You know, I have a couple friends that I go to church with at Experience Church, and I texted them making sure they're okay. I actually got the message from an old coworker that we know, and also just a really good friend of mine, telling me about this incident. And, you know, I just jumped into action, helping out as much as I can, just sending you guys alerts of what's going on. I've actually had my family members texting me, making sure that I am okay. So a lot of people checking on their people, me checking on my friends, and all of us what we are doing now as a newsroom, just checking in on everyone and making sure everyone is okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Ashley. We appreciate that information there. It looks like there's a bus in the background behind you, and traffic is moving slowly. Tell me about that, what you're seeing.
Yeah, traffic right now, as you can see, we're actually on St. Augustine, and I believe this street is I'm not really sure what this street is, I apologize, but we're next to St. Augustine, where it is a stoplight right now, but this is where it's used kind of near Railroad Square, but traffic is actually moving quite a bit smoothly right now. Bree and I saw State Trooper at the entrance of the Donald L. Tucker Center, just making sure security is okay, making sure students is okay. But as you can see, traffic, yes, is moving a little slowly, but it looks like everyone is kind of getting back to normal. But at the same time, I believe there's a couple of roads that are still blocked off as you were saying, that the area where the student union and everything is, that's still an active crime scene, and FSU is urging students and everyone to stay away from that area. But as for right now, on the side of campus that we're at right now, you know, like you said, there's a bus, there's students getting on the bus, parents picking up students, friends, roommates, everyone just picking people up to go home and just be with their friends and family right now.
Mm-hmm. Because that is most important in a situation like this, getting to a safe spot and being with your friends and family and your loved ones. So you're out there with another one of our reporters, Brianna Smith. She is brand new to our news team. She's manning the camera there for Ashley Engel. But Ashley, talk to me about, hey, Bree, Bree experiencing this as her first time here in Tallahassee as a news reporter. So Bree, share with us your reaction.
Share with us your reaction.
Yeah, I was over in the Northeast Tallahassee area, and I got the alert on my phone from our news station, our app actually, and it was just crazy to hear that I was just 20 minutes away from that area where everything happened. You know, like Ashley was telling you guys, it's just, people are just reuniting right now, and it's just, you can tell it's a difficult time for people. We tried talking to people, and you know, they weren't willing to talk right now.
And Jay, we're going to head things back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you to you both. Stay safe out there. So we have more information from that FSU alert. The Florida State campus has been secured. Multiple law enforcement agencies remain on site for the ongoing investigation. The student union and surrounding area are still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should not return to the area for any reason. Busing is underway to help students reach the reunification point at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. A briefing is tentatively set for 4:30. So that news conference is being moved up to 4:30. So we are now 1 hour away, and taking a look now at the streets nearby the campus. Folks are being asked to stay away from the campus, and there's a look at students leaving who came to campus thinking it was a normal day of school and now being evacuated after a mass shooting on the campus. Active shooter situation there as police investigate the scene. So the crime scene tape is up, and the campus has been secured, but multiple law enforcement agencies are there just to make sure everything is safe. So you can see that ambulance there. Just a second ago, you could see one of the officers handing shackles to another officer. So we don't know details about that person on the ambulance there, but hopefully we will find out more as a news conference will get underway in less than an hour. So the alert came in 12:01 p.m. Everybody rushed into action to help students at FSU. Our team, WTXL, started getting the information that we knew and put it on our website, WTXL.tv. Then we sent our reporters to the campus. We are all hands on deck as the community is at FSU as they investigate this. So we're bringing you live coverage throughout the day at WTXL and also WTXL.tv. And Maya Sargent has sent in some more information, and it's about the information that we told you about earlier. To avoid the student union, Bellamy, HCB Classroom Building, Rovetta, Shaw, Pepper, Hecht House, and Caraway, as they are still considered an FSU, a crime scene at FSU. So be aware of those areas. And if you've witnessed anything, they want you to call this number, 850-891-4987. Again, that number is 850-891-4987. So still gathering details. This investigation will be going on for a long time, as you can imagine, as an active shooter situation took place at Florida State University. And we're getting some more information from Kenya Cardone. Kenya Cardone is going to be up in just a second to talk about more student reaction. You could see many of them in this video walking to get off the campus, get on a bus, and head to the Student Reunification Center. So learning more details about that, Kenya Cardone has been getting an idea from students of what they went through. She'll be with us in just a moment, but I want to bring you some more comments and tributes from lawmakers, and they are sending their condolences to the campus. Taking a look now at the scene where Kenya Cardone is outside the Love Building. You can see these cars here blocking the street. Some are students' cars. They had to leave them as they left the campus to get to safety. Some of the law enforcement officers are there. That could be an unmarked police car. They're blocking the road off so that people don't come on the campus wondering what has happened. So stay away from FSU if you live in Tallahassee, as law enforcement there are actively working this case. The bus there in the distance, they're taking students to the Reunification campus. Kenya Cardone now is live with us from the campus. And Kenya, what's the latest?
Yeah, thank you, Jade. Right now, the scene, at least where we're standing, it's clearing up a little bit. I mean, this was filled with law enforcement vehicle after law enforcement vehicle, and so on and so on. And right now, this road has started to clear a little bit. Earlier, we were seeing some lines forming across the bridge as students were being evacuated onto those transportation buses. Now, we're not seeing that kind of backup anymore. There might be a student or two kind of straying in from inside the campus, walking over the bridge to get out. But right now, that has slowed down so much. We keep running into students, kind of like the stragglers left in there, kind of coming out. And what they keep telling me, they look very, very frazzled, very kind of just shocked. Some of them shaking, some of them looking like they're about to burst into tears. They're saying that they're not allowed to go to their cars if it's inside campus. They're not allowed to go to any sort of dorm or other building inside campus. They're forced to go out here, of course, as law enforcement works to evacuate them. Like I said, I saw some law enforcement earlier. They had those big guns. They put them away in their car. We've seen them walking back in and forth. They're telling students are going up to them saying, my car is over there, or I have to go over there, the building, or my stuff is over there. And law enforcement keeps telling them, no means no, it's an active scene, you cannot go into campus. So that's what we've been seeing time and time again here. As the scene kind of clears up a little bit, students are either trying to get out or get back in to get what they left, but they're not allowed to at this time as law enforcement keeps tackling the scene, Jade.
Oh goodness, there is a lot of confusion there, and the students, I'm sure, are just shocked. And tell us more. You've talked to several people today. What's been their thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they're shocked to the point where it hasn't even hit them. Some of them say it feels like it's not even real. A lot of them, somebody who I just spoke to recently said that they didn't see it, but they heard it. They heard there's a shooter, and they heard loud bangs. And at that moment, it was fight or flight. It was just on go. Collect yourself, grab your belongings. Well, not even what your belongings. Most of them just left with nothing but, like you've said earlier, the clothes on their back, their phone, had to get out immediately or hunker down. A lot of them saying they just can't believe that something like this would happen. Normal day. An advisor that we just spoke to said that, it's a congratulatory time where students are looking forward to graduation, the end of the semester, it's spring. And what an awful start to the Wednesday. What a damper on such a time that is supposed to be happy as students kind of make their way through the school year, the school term. And this is just completely just shot down the mood and shot down how people are feeling here and what's to come next. A lot of them just don't even know. I say, what's next for you? They say, I don't know. I'm just trying to get out or get to my car or get home. So that's what people are telling me right now.
Talk to us more about, there was a lot of action, a lot of students walking behind you. Tell us where they were headed.
Yeah, so they were headed to a bunch of buses that are here on the street. Stefan's going to show you right now that there's a bus after bus kind of lined up. They're kind of backed up back there. It's a mix of FSU buses and also just regular public transportation buses that have lined up here for hundreds of students who are coming out of the campus, walking across the bridge there to get to safety as law enforcement is just guiding them out there. Students you can see that some of them might be trying to get back into campus, but shortly and quickly a law enforcement officer will come back and say, no, you have to go up those steps, you have to get there. I ran into a student who said, how do I get out, where do I go? And I said, they're guiding you. You have to go up the stairs. And she's like, can I get to the cathedral? Yes, you have to get out of campus. Law enforcement are not letting you back in there. They quickly stop you and they say, no, this is an active scene. A lot of them worried about their car, where they're going to, or even a friend who might have been left behind. But law enforcement is like, you have to understand, when you stay on campus, you're not letting us do our job. I've heard it from their mouths themselves. You're saying you wanting to stay, wanting to go back in and possibly put yourself in jeopardy. You're not letting us do our job of clearing the scene. So that's what the situation looks like. It's more students getting onto buses. It's calmed down, at least in the area that I'm standing in, but there's still some people trying to just get out and figure out what's next for their day.
A lot that they have to work with and deal with, the law enforcement, as they work to get students to safety and clear the scene and direct people to where they have to go. Thank you so much, Kenya. We appreciate that update, and we'll get back to you a little bit later. But I want to talk about the FBI director giving a statement on FSU. My team and I have been briefed on the tragic shooting at Florida State, and our FBI Jacksonville team is on the ground assisting. We will provide full support to local law enforcement as needed. Please keep the FSU community in your prayers. So you can see law enforcement from all around is coming in to help, including the FBI Jacksonville office. Law enforcement helping to get students to safety. You can see this is new video we have from Bryce Vance of students walking through the halls with their hands up. Pretty chilling to see this video here, getting to safety, getting out of that building and getting off the campus. More video from Bryce Vance here, one of our viewers of the campus. You can see it is just kind of eerie out there with law enforcement there walking through the campus. Many cars just left. Students had to quickly evacuate the area. And just taking another look here, you just can't imagine what they're thinking, just walking slowly, and the officers with the long guns and going room to room to check to make sure they're all safe and that there's no active shooter in the buildings. Remember, FSU said the safe word is Seminole. So if you're still at FSU inside those buildings, you just want to be sure that you hear that word before you start moving. Okay, and taking a look at more video in from Sarah Evans. We can see students and teachers in that video, just kind of a point of view shot of what this viewer is seeing in one of the buildings there. This is from Sarah Evans again. Just really scary as students seem to wonder what is happening as that active shooter situation went on, and trying to keep themselves safe there. So thank you for sending that video in to us. And they're walking through the halls. This is a look at what many of the students had to do to get off campus. And you got to remember, Florida State is a large university with tens of thousands of students. So getting them on the buses was an important move to get them to the Reunification Center, where they could be in contact with their loved ones and call them, text, send messages, just to let people know that they're okay. This is a huge situation for the campus, and the news conference will be happening in about 45 minutes. So hopefully we'll get more information on what happened from the students. 6 people, rather. We don't know exactly if they're students, but could be faculty, whoever was injured on the campus. We have gotten word from Tallahassee Memorial Hospital that they're treating 6 patients. 1 is in critical condition. 5 were seriously injured. So they'll be treating those patients, and we're sending our thoughts to those recovering and those lawmakers. We haven't heard that anyone has passed away from the shooting incident. We did see in earlier video that there was someone in an ambulance being shackled. You could see the shackles being passed from one law enforcement officer to another. So many questions regarding that arrest and what's happening there. And we're just hoping that everyone is able to just find some relief with the scene, for the most part, being neutralized. But here is some information from Tallahassee, from FAMU. Actually, class is being canceled today. You can work remotely. This is all in response to the shooting, and the classes and student activities on the main campus for the remainder of the day have been canceled. So students can leave the engineering building but may not return to FSU's main campus. FAMU employees have the option to work remotely for the rest of the day. And Tallahassee Police has sent out some information on their Facebook page. TPD's Tactical Apprehension and Control Team conducted a training exercise on South Adams Street from noon. That started at noon. They were doing that. So a lot of the confusion was this TPD's training activities, but it turns out there was an active shooter situation. So they sent out this alert, and we were taking note of this earlier, that during the training session you could have heard some loud noises, but it turns out a lot of the noises people were hearing were gunshots being fired at the campus of Florida State University. 6 people again were injured. 1 is critical. 5 others have serious injuries. So we will hopefully learn more about that in our news conference coming up at 4:30. But again, there is certainly an active situation still happening at Florida State University with the police there, just investigating every angle they can, going to buildings to make sure that the students are safe and getting them out of there. The students are then being bused to the Reunification Center. Ashley Engel, our reporter, is there on the scene, and she is outside that building, and hopefully the students and staff and faculty are making connection to their loved ones who, if they live in Tallahassee, they're going there to pick them up and give them comfort after possibly witnessing this horrible event, or just hearing it or seeing it. So they're there contacting, making calls, and it's just a safe place for students to go right now. And taking another look at this video of one of the buildings there. Students are walking there with their backpacks. You can see they were totally caught off guard with this. Some of them were able to grab their things and leave and walk out of there, but others had left the green space and just left, some even leaving their shoes behind. So there is 1 person in custody, according to reporting from the Associated Press. And you can see in this video, again, the shackles being brought to the law enforcement officer in the ambulance, who is putting those shackles on a stretcher. So waiting to get more information on that. As the time goes on and the investigation goes on, we'll get some more details. So the following buildings, according to FSU, are currently closed as they are still an active crime scene: the Student Union, Bellamy, HCB Classroom Building, Rovetta A&B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, the Hecht House, and Caraway. Now, do not come to these buildings, do not return, because this is an active crime scene. So I had to get a sip of water, so thank you for that. Thank you for the water. We are doing live wall-to-wall coverage here, and law enforcement officers have neutralized the threat. This is a live look at the building where people were walking to get on those buses. You can see the road is still blocked off, so roads all around the area are still blocked off as law enforcement investigate the scene and students leave the campus. So for a while, you could see lines and lines of students crossing that bridge to get on the bus to head to the Tucker Center, where there is a reunification area for students. But that is a live look, a car moving slowly there. But remember, these roads are blocked off. We are also getting an idea of more on the situation from Kenya Cardone. She's been out there talking to students, faculty, anyone passing through the area. I saw a group of students walk behind her earlier, and you can only imagine what they're going through, what's running through their mind. Kenya had said a lot of students have said they're confused. They're just asking, why did this happen at my school? And they want to know more information, which hopefully will be available to us in about 40 minutes. Maya Sargent is at the Turnbull Center. She is there to get an update, ask the questions that we all want to know here at the news station and in the community. So we're getting that information for you. The Tucker Center is serving as the Student and Family Assistance Center for those impacted by the tragedy. That's according to Florida State on X, and counseling and other support services are also available there. So it's not just a place for people to connect with their family, which is the most important part, but also for counseling and other support services. So this is certainly a tough event for students to take in, but there is therapy and other support available for students. If you just need to talk to someone, you can imagine the students are feeling that shock of witnessing or just being on the campus of where a shooting took place. Again, 6 people injured, 1 critical, 5 in serious condition. According to reports, the shooter is in custody. But here is some information from Representative Daniel Perez, the Speaker of the House here in Florida. And he says, what we are watching unfold at FSU is terrifying and every parent's worst nightmare. We are continuing to monitor the news here in Tallahassee and urge everyone to pray for the students, families, faculty, first responders, and all involved. Community members reacting to this, as well as our lawmakers. Very, very tragic day. Horrible this happened on the campus. We've been witnessing many events unfold here as far as students being moved to safety from the different buildings on campus, as well as law enforcement even putting shackles on an individual. But again, we don't know who that is. And what is happening with that. But students here, you can see they're walking and getting to safety on campus, but also just confused as to when they can come back and get the things they left behind, or even their cars. So this is some more photos that we're getting. This is actually a photo of one of the buildings, a piano inside one of the buildings there, and just getting some more context on what happened here. So earlier today, TPD, their Tactical Apprehension and Control Team, will be conducting a training exercise on South Adams Street. So this training exercise was taking place. Shooting happened, so there was a lot of confusion as to, are these gunshots or is it just the training exercise? So but it turns out there was an actual active shooter situation. And we also have a quote from House Speaker Mike Johnson. Horrific news out of Tallahassee. Please join us in praying for the students, faculty, and the entire Florida State University community during this tragic time. These tributes are pouring in, and getting some more information from the FBI director on FSU. My team and I have been briefed on the tragic shooting at Florida State, and our FBI Jacksonville team is assisting on the ground. We will provide full support to local law enforcement as needed. Please keep FSU, the community, in your prayers. And the picture of the piano, I'm getting some more information on that. The piano, get this, you guys, was actually used to block a classroom door. That is the significance of that piano. So used to keep people safe from that active shooter threat. The piano, again, blocking a classroom door. It's pretty incredible what the students had to do, but thinking fast on their feet to protect themselves and other students nearby. And again, the FSU alert, the first alert came out at 12:01 p.m. today, letting people know there was an active shooter situation. Then from that, the information spread. Students were bused to the Reunification Center. And as you can see here, the piano blocking a door as students heard about the shooting and worked to protect themselves and keep threat out in case it was the active shooter in the building. And as you can see, a live look of the state troopers are on scene. You can see one of their cars with the lights flashing still. So still this scene is active. Students just passed by on their phones, probably talking to one of their friends, telling them what they just experienced, what they saw. Those students, the ones who were bused to the Reunification Center, have counseling services available to them and are being reunited with their loved ones. Maybe they have family who live in Tallahassee that are picking them up to take them home with them and just kind of take in and reflect on what has happened today. April 17th is a day they will never forget, as this class, many students too, were going to graduate, and they still are in the next month, but just with this burned in the back of their mind that this shooting happened in their time in college. So certainly something that is weighing heavy on their hearts today. But certainly want to thank the law enforcement community for being out there and pulling together to help in such a terrible, terrible situation. Here is more details on the reunification. The busing is still taking place to go to the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, and the briefing is set for 4:30. If you've witnessed anything, heard, saw, know anything about the situation, please call 850-891-4987. So these are certainly details that you need to know. We'll be streaming the news conference live on our air coming up at 4:30. As that gets underway, we have plenty of details we want to know. Who was involved in this shooting, the conditions of those who are in the hospital, you know, as far as the shooting itself, what happened. You can see a large police presence, and sheriff's deputies. They're all on scene on FSU's campus to investigate and just make sure that there is no longer a threat. So they're there to help out. Leon County deputies, you name it, Florida State Police, Tallahassee Police. They're all there to keep people safe. It seems like some of the areas calming down there where Kenya Cardone is. And the Tucker Center is serving as the Student and Family Assistance Center for those impacted by the tragedy that took place at Florida State. Counseling is available again, and you can get more details by going to alerts.fsu.edu. So students are getting the care they need as far as what they witnessed today, and that everything is going to get back to normal soon. State Patrol, FDLE, folks on the scene, law enforcement cars moving slowly through the area, as there are still buildings that are active crime scene areas, but other parts of the campus are neutralized. So everything is hopefully gonna get back to normal soon. Again, FAMU classes are canceled today, as well as Florida State classes, obviously. Law enforcement moving through the area. I wonder what this means as far as where we are with this active crime scene. So FSU, again, they'll be a part of the news conference, as well as law enforcement and hopefully Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. And here is some information from Florida A&M University. Florida A&M University sends our love and prayers to the Florida State University community during this time. Please remain 850 strong. Plenty of love and support coming in from next door at FAMU. So FSU, as they deal with this horrific crime that occurred on campus earlier today during a drill with TPD. They were doing some training at the same time this shooting took place. People were trying to differentiate, oh, was that TPD's training, or they later learned that there was an active shooter on the campus. So the Associated Press is reporting the person has been taken into custody. So we're waiting to learn more information on that person. And, you know, so many questions linger as to who this person was. Were they a student at FSU, or why were they here? A lot going on. And there is a student right there walking on the campus. So a lot of people are just trying to figure out the situation. And we will bring you more updates and just keep bringing you more information as they come out live on the air here at ABC 27 and also on our blog, WTXL.tv. So just want to go back through some of the information that we have learned. About 3 hours ago, well, 12 p.m., so about 4 hours ago now, there was an active shooter reported in the area of the Student Union. Police went to the scene and they were asking students to continue to seek shelter and await further information. There is a look at the scene now from Bryce Vance, who is a viewer of ours and sent us video. And so there are students there in the building who had to leave, and they were evacuated, and you can see their hands were up. So that is something we have seen on the air nationally through different shootings in our past throughout the nation, unfortunately. But there's our FSU students moving through the campus, and they were getting to safety. So there they are. There's a law enforcement officer handing another officer the shackles for the person that is in the ambulance there, the Leon County EMS ambulance. We don't know details about that person. We don't know the circumstances surrounding his stretcher being shackled, but we're hopefully to get those questions answered at the news conference that's happening now in 28 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Maya Sargent will be there getting that information. So a lot happening here, and there is more video of how they barricaded doors, and the school was asking for people to stay away from the doors and the windows, and that they're safe. Here's another live look now at the bridge where students were walking across near the Love Building and getting onto the bus to be taken to the Reunification Center. Students making phone calls and to their loved ones to be sure that they're safe. And we have another interview coming up with students reacting to this. I mean, after all, it's really about the students and the faculty on the campus being affected by this. So we're going to send it to a student interview that we have with CNN, a student reaction piece. So let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I just got my lunch from the union, and I was getting ready to work on some of my meteorology homework. Right now I'm a junior at FSU studying meteorology, and I was getting ready to do some of my work when about the east entrance of the FSU Student Union, I saw a horde of students running in a frenzy where I realized what was going on. I think I might have heard someone say it was an active shooter event. So I quickly grabbed what I could and just got out of there. Now, unfortunately, when I was trying to flee from the student union, I actually ended up tripping on some of the stairs that lead up to the union. And I sprained my ankle, have a couple scratches on my leg as well as on my left thumb. But otherwise, physically, I'm all right. Just taking the time right now to just recover and kind of process everything. But after I left that student union, I hid behind some bushes. And when I did, I was able to contact my mom. But at the same time, I started hearing gunshots ring off in a very rapid succession. I believe again, I didn't actually see the shooter, but from what I heard, it sounded more like an automatic weapon. And it was just absolutely horrific. And it's something I'm not gonna forget for a very long time. But after those shots subsided, I was able to make it back to my car. I commuted to school today. It was parked on the the northwest side of FSU's campus. So it was a little bit of a trickier walk because of my leg. But I was able to evacuate the area safely. And I know I've already seen some video. After I was able to leave the campus, I saw that much of Tennessee Street has been barricaded, just not allowing a lot of travel in that area. And I saw a lot of video online, even from some of my meteorology friends, of students fleeing across Tennessee Street, just trying to do whatever they can to just get away from the situation. So from my experience and what I've been hearing from my close friends, it seems like that basically kind of like what we've been taught like growing up is, like run, fight, hide. Like I saw a lot of students running, and then several other of my friends were being sheltered in some of the buildings on campus. And over the past hour or so now, many of those students have been evacuated by law enforcement, as well as some of them have been evacuated to the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, which is here at FSU. So that's kind of been a ground zero center for students just to recuperate and just get to a secure location just following.
Certainly intense what that student had to go through to get away from the scene. Here's a look at what we know about the FSU shooting. 6 people are being treated. That means 5 of them are in serious condition, 1 critical. TPD says the situation is neutralized. We'll have a news conference at 4:30 p.m. hoping to hear from officials on what they've learned from the situation and just really the details as to what exactly happened. Now, classes are canceled through Thursday. Classes are canceled through Thursday. Students definitely are trying to process this situation here. There is the law enforcement officer on the scene with someone in the ambulance there. This is video that we got from our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, who was on scene and rushed to the campus of Florida State University. He normally covers the Capitol, but it's an all hands on deck type of day with our reporters spread out through the area to get you all the details you need to know. Again, 6 people are being treated at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. TPD, the Tallahassee Police Department, says the situation is neutralized. We'll have a news conference coming up at 4:30, so we have about 22 minutes until we learn more about the situation and get the details, since there have been rumors and all sorts of false information going through our Twitter feeds. And Ashley Engel is live from the Civic Center. Ashley, tell us more about what the Civic Center is being used for today.
I'm actually still here at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, where students are reuniting with their friends, family, and everything. There's a bus blocking the view right now, but we'll wait for that to move forward. But students are at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center reuniting with friends, family, roommates, and Bree and I actually just saw students reuniting and just the mood there and just the emotion. People just hugging and crying in each other's arms, thankful to be alive, thankful to not be injured and everything. So many students actually told me that who did not want to speak on camera. They told me
All right,
that.
Ashley, thank you for that. We appreciate you being there and covering this story. Just really heartbreaking to hear what the students are going through. Thank you so much. We'll check back in with you in a little bit. Now let's get back to some more information on what we know. Tributes are pouring in from national leaders all the way to state and local leaders. We have more details coming in as we learn them. We're getting them on our website, WTXL.tv, and bringing them to you live on the air. We have learned that 6 people were injured in this shooting, one of them critical, 5 others in serious condition. Now, the alert came out that a shooting had taken place on the campus around 12:01 p.m., so that is several hours ago now. The situation is now neutralized. That's according to Tallahassee Police. And classes are canceled through Thursday. So students will have a little break after witnessing this intense situation. So details are still not known of exactly who this shooter was, what they were doing on campus, or if they were a student. So we're looking to get more details on that and more on the extent of those people's on those persons' injuries that were taken to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital and being treated. We have reporters at the hospital. We have reporters outside the Reunification Center. And we also have Maya Sargent, our reporter, who is standing by for that news conference. Details will be made available at 4:30. That's what we're hearing now. The news conference was set for 4, but now it's been pushed back to 4:30. And here is a live look at the scene. Still, Leon County deputies there, plenty of law enforcement there. This was a all hands on deck approach to work this situation. Is something that we haven't seen on Florida State's campus since 2014. And they're getting ready for the press conference now. Taking a live look here, you can see we have the Florida State emblem in the background. So certainly expecting to hear from Florida State University officials on this, and also other law enforcement who have been on scene to take down any evidence that they found, and also talk to students there and protect the campus overall. So you can see a couple people in the background getting ready. Again, that news conference is expected to happen at 4:30. It is 4:12 now to talk about a day, April 17th, 2025, that will forever be not forgotten. Plenty of moving parts to this case that will unfold. In the next 15 minutes, we'll learn more information, and plenty of more details will be coming out in the coming days, the coming months, as we get more details on this active shooting situation. So, to recap, it is 4:13 p.m. and 15 more minutes to go until the news conference. We do know there was an active shooting situation. We were notified of it, and the FSU community was officially notified of it at 12:01 p.m. You can see the news conference will get underway soon. We're going to be live streaming this and have live on our air as the officials come up to the podium and lay it out what happened, and hopefully get some more answers to all the questions the community has. And we have Forrest Saunders, who is coming up soon, but he saw students leaving behind their shoes on the campus, leaving behind just belongings, the food they were eating. because like he mentioned earlier, this is springtime in Tallahassee. It is just great to be out and about and just relaxing on the campus in between classes. So we're going to go to Forrest here, Forrest Saunders. He'll be with us in just a moment, but he witnessed just something that you don't normally see on the campus. And he is normally covering the Capitol, but rushed over to Florida State University to bring us information on what he is seeing live on the campus. So plenty of law enforcement still there. This is the area that you're seeing where buses were lining up to take students. They are still there as more students trickle in to catch the bus to the student center, where families are being there to meet with their loved ones who were on the campus of this terrible situation. You can only imagine what the parents are even feeling after this, and talking to their kids who attend Florida State University. I can only imagine what they're all going through being here on this day on Florida State University's campus, just going out and just having a normal day of class. Some of them are getting ready to graduate, and this is something that'll certainly be stuck in their minds. You just saw Kenya Cardone. She is over in this area, and she'll be with us too in just a little bit. So she has been kind of getting a feel for the mood on campus and how students and faculty are reacting. Here's what we know. 6 people are being treated, 1 in critical condition and 5 others in serious condition at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. We don't know just the extent of their injuries, where they were shot. Any information like that will be forthcoming. TPD says the situation is neutralized. And it won't be long now until we have that news conference at 4:30. Mayor Sargent is there to cover that for us. We also have other reporters all over the place, including Alberto Camargo, Ashley Engel, and Kenya Cardone, and along with our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders. Classes are canceled through Thursday, and FAMU even canceled their classes today, allowing folks to work from home following this mass shooting event. So again, 6 people being treated, 5 seriously injured, 1 in critical condition. TPD saying the situation was neutralized. You recall they were training at the same time this took place, so a lot of people were like, what is happening? Is there something going on, or is it TPD's training exercise? So, but it turns out it was an active shooter situation when they heard all the gunshots. Many students reported hearing many gunshots in the area taking place at the student union. Again, a news conference will be happening at 4:30. That is not too long away now. We have about 13 minutes. Classes are canceled through Thursday. Kenya Cardone is live for us now. Kenya has been hanging out on the campus, just being there, watching the situation unfold. Kenya, tell us about what you're seeing out there. And it seems like there's still students there catching a ride on the bus to the Student Reunification Center. Taking a live look now at Florida State University's Turnbull Center. That is where we are going to get a press conference going here in just a few minutes, 12 minutes to go now. Let's send it over to Kenya now. I think we have...
Hey Jade, yes, this is we're live from the same scene we've been at, and as of now there's still some stragglers left as the students kind of evacuate little by little across the street onto buses or just across the street just to get away from campus. But for the most part, this scene has cleared quite a bit. It was a big crowd, big line of students kind of going over that bridge, getting into those buses as law enforcement were guiding them to get away from campus. Right now, this street a little bit has cleared. It was full of law enforcement vehicles. They're no longer here. And I've actually started to see some students walk back into campus. Law enforcement that was here telling them, no, you can't go in. I don't see them here anymore. And also the buses that were standing right there at the end of the street there, a lot of them have cleared. So because that crowd is not there anymore, I think that they've kind of handled getting most of the students out, evacuated, and into safety. As of right now, students kind of, as they're walking by, I'm saying, are you okay? And they're saying, yes, we're okay. Is everybody okay? Your friends? Everybody seems to be okay, just very frazzled, as we've said all day. Frazzled at this situation, frazzled at just how could this happen on a normal school day that you just weren't even expecting. Again, some more vehicles kind of coming in and out of campus. As you can see, they're crossing that bridge and going over. Those lights still active there. Some students asking, can I get to my car? A lot of them still not able to get to their vehicles, to their belongings, to the things that were inside campus, as the law enforcement is still kind of working to tackle the scene. A lot of them not able to get to their things, just having to either order Ubers, have a friend pick them up, or actually, and this street itself had law enforcement to the point that I know you can't see it unless, Stefan, let me know if you can pan behind me here. Perfect, thank you. So as you can see, there's cars lined up on the street. Many of them are law enforcement, and so what's happening is blocking these cars. And this is a situation for several parts of campus where law enforcement presence is so heavy that people who have their cars parked here, they're not really able to get out. And if your car or any of your belongings are in campus, you can't access that either. So but a lot of it has cleared, which I'm hoping is a good sign. But that's what it looks like. Students here kind of coming in and out, mostly out, some coming in, trying to figure out how do I go about my day now that it seems that things are kind of clearing up. Jade?
All right, Kenya, thank you for that. It seems like things have sort of calmed down there. What other reaction are you getting from students?
I think the most common thing that they're telling me is, I can't believe that this has happened. I go, are you okay? They're just shocked. They say, yeah, we're okay. But you can see the sadness and the weight of the situation sitting on their shoulders, sitting on their hearts, their minds, as they're like, is it safe to come back in? Is it safe to even walk the streets? They're scared. A lot of them saying that the videos they're seeing on social media confusing them even more. They don't know what to believe. Some of them not having access to media outlets like us, or some of them I'm telling them download the app so you can stay up to date, because a lot of things that are circulating on social media are confusing people and giving them false information. It's important that you use trusted media and your law enforcement to stay up to date, to know, can I come back on campus? Is it safe? That kind of thing. Please stay up to date with trusted sources. Videos circulating everywhere. Students just like frazzled, just frazzled. Truly, April 17th is going to be something that puts a damper on them. One advisor telling me this is a time that's supposed to be happy as we near the end of the term, and now this has totally changed the game for so many here. Jade?
All right, Kenya, thank you for staying on top of this. We appreciate all the coverage you're bringing us with the student reaction there on the campus. We'll be posted up there for quite a while until the situation clears up. Our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, he is on the campus of Florida State today after this tragedy started to unfold. And Forrest, what's happening where you're at now?
Well, we are still trying to learn more information, and what we understand is that here in just a few moments we will be getting a press briefing at the Turnbull Conference Center, which is just a few blocks away from where I'm standing. But you can see it's still very much an active situation here, right? Law enforcement continues to keep the student union about 2 blocks behind me on lockdown. The reason why? It is an active crime scene. We were down there just a little bit ago. We were pushed back because they were worried about our safety. They were worried about being involved in the investigation. Totally understand that, but there were dozens of law enforcement still in tactical gear, walking around, doing their investigative work. And we are talking about law enforcement from all over, not just the city, not just the county, but the state of Florida and beyond. FWC was here, Florida Wildlife. You had FBI, U.S. Marshals. They have all come out here to try and help figure out what happened and help those who are in need right now. Still waiting for the specific details as to how many confirmed injured and what the severity of those injuries are. Still waiting to find out the details of this shooting. But what I can tell you is eyewitnesses tell me They were stunned. This was noon. This was the student union. It was packed full of kids who were studying, they were eating, they were hanging out with their friends. Those shots rang out and everyone took off running. They left what they had behind, whether that was books, whether that was supplies, even drinks in their hand. They dropped them and ran. Over at the grassy lawn next door, students were sunbathing. They left their laptops, they left half-eaten meals, they left their shoes behind because they were so scared. And over the last couple of hours, law enforcement has been going to each of these buildings across campus. What they've been doing is knocking on the doors, trying to make sure those buildings are secure, whether or not there are people inside who might be victims or other threats. We did just a little while ago get the release of the campus, at least portions of it. Again, still an active crime scene behind me at the Student Union. We even witnessed some of these law enforcement members knocking on a bathroom that was right across the street from the Student Union. Inside there was a kid who had locked himself in there out of fear that he was going to be injured. They released him. He went on his way. But there are so many families right now who are wondering if their children are okay. There is a family reunification center that has been set up at the Donald Tucker Civic Center. It is typically where FSU plays basketball, but right now families are there waiting to find out if their student, their loved one, their teacher is okay. This is the reality of today's shooting. It's a tragedy, and it's going to leave a black mark. We're 3 weeks or so away from graduation here at FSU. This is not what people wanted to be focused on, but here we are. That is the latest out here on campus. I will keep you posted as things develop.
All right. Thank you so much, Forrest, for that update there. And like Forrest was talking about, students are trying to get a grip on everything that happened. There is a reunification center set up for families and students to talk to each other and even get a ride back home if they live in Tallahassee, or they may be picking up their students just to take them home to South Florida where they're from. There are many different situations, but the good thing is that students have left the campus. TPD says the situation has neutralized, and the news conference is coming up here in just a moment. We got 4 minutes to go, and we will be learning more details about what has happened today on the Florida State University campus at the Union. You can see different people just walking up to maybe check on the microphones there, as we'll be hearing from Florida State University. Law enforcement, and also anyone else involved in the investigation. So media there getting their stuff set up, and including WTXL. So here is a look at the scene. This looks like Tennessee Street going into the campus there. You can see that road is blocked off. State troopers, plenty of law enforcement just to make sure that people are not heading to Florida State University in case they haven't gotten word of what has happened here. So they are finishing up their investigations. Many buildings there are still an active scene. So there is still many officers there to look over everything, collect the needed evidence for this case, because there is still a lot to be known about this active shooter situation. So the news conference is coming up in just a couple of minutes. So we're going to take that news conference and we'll get a clearer idea of what has happened today. So there you go. There is the podium set up with microphones from media all around, and also WTXL. We're going to bring this live to you. So in just a couple of minutes now, there are going to be a number of people taking the podium and hopefully taking questions for the events that just occurred earlier today. At 12:01 p.m., an FSU alert came out letting everyone know there was an active shooter on the campus, and telling students to hunker down and stay away from the doors and windows. We have seen images of students walk through buildings with their hands up, with their backpacks to get out and get to safety. The buildings, some of them are still being scanned and looked at as the investigation continues. You can see the students now in this video from our viewer, Bryce Vance. He is sending us this video of one of the hallways where students had their hands up. You can only imagine what was running through their minds as they left the building, never thinking their day would end up like this. Another live look now at the campus, and back to that just chilling video of students wondering what is going on, confused. So now we're going to head back to that news conference. You can see folks are gathering there, officials to give us an update. Looks like the Leon County Sheriff is there and some other folks. So they're lining up, going to give their statements. You can see a large number of people there. So we're going to go to the news conference now. So we're waiting as everybody gets set to go here. This is how a news conference usually goes. We wait for the press conference to begin as he's waiting for everybody to get in place before he starts. So a large media presence there as we await to find out more details in this case. We're expected momentarily now, 4:30, as they said, this conference would start. So you can see a lot of members of law enforcement, Florida State University officials on this horrific shooting that took place at 12:01. So let's take a listen.
I'm the Chief of Police at Florida State University. All Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working, in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions, but needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Revel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here. And we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs so it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you're there from social media, Please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, president of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital. The First Lady and I met some of our students who were the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers, are absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and Florida Department Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and to help us and to be here today for this press conference. And I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They're treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people and our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled. On the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our employee assistance program. And so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community. We're family. And so we'll take care of all of you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you.
All right, at this time we will take a few questions. Let me just reiterate, this was a massive response of law enforcement personnel. Our federal, state, local partners have continued to build relationships that long preceded this event. And that came into great play today in the seamless way that we all came together to work these events. But I know you'll have some specific questions. I will tell you right now, we are not going to talk about the victims, other than the fact that there are 6 of them, two additional deceased, and then the suspect. So 9 total persons. 9 total persons. Yes, sir.
Have you all been able to talk to the suspect at all? Any idea about motive?
The suspect invoked his rights not to speak to us.
Chief, do we know if the weapon that was used was his parents' service weapon, and If so, what are the rules around storing service weapons?
Right. No, that's a good question. This weapon was a weapon that the deputy previously used. A lot of times, many agencies, mine included, when we transition to a new handgun, the officers are allowed to purchase the handgun they used prior. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, but I believe that's the case here. This was a handgun that deputy used prior to them transitioning to a new handgun, and so it was her personal handgun.
Is she put on leave or?
The sheriff would have to speak to that.
We will do a thorough investigation to look at all aspects of it. There's no cause right now that we're aware of that require her to be placed on any kind of suspension or otherwise.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been hearing stuff that it was a deputy who was a school resource officer. Is that true?
That is correct.
Chief, those injured, those killed, are any of those members of law enforcement?
I'm sorry?
Anyone who died in the shooting or was injured in the shooting, were any of them members of law enforcement, whether it be the...
No, they were not. They were not. Yes, sir.
When law enforcement arrived, did the suspects engage with them or did he surrender immediately?
No, they challenged him and ended up shooting. He did not comply with commands and was shot.
Did he fire officers?
I do not believe he fired at officers.
We've heard that Phoenix may be autistic. Are you able to confirm that detail?
I do not have that detail.
Is there an idea of the victims yet?
I'm sorry?
An idea of the victims?
We're not releasing any of the victim information at this time.
Was the officer aware of any behavioral conditions or concerns or threats prior to this incident?
We were not.
How quickly did officers arrive on scene from the 911 call to when they engaged the suspect?
We will get you that information. I don't have that currently. I assume that would be a question that was asked, but I mean, it was almost immediately. That FSU, obviously this is their campus and they patrol it very well. So they were on scene almost immediately, engaged almost immediately. And then everyone else, again, was a massive, very quick response.
I know that you said that the two deceased were not students. Do we know of those 5 that were injured or any of them students?
Again, we're not releasing any information on the students on the victims at this point.
Specifically, what firearms did he use?
I'm sorry?
What kind of firearm was he using?
It was a handgun.
What kind of handgun?
I don't know what type of handgun that was. It was probably a 40. I don't know. Yeah.
Chief, I heard a report that a shotgun was also recovered on campus. Was that used in the shooting?
We do know that he had a shotgun with him. We have not confirmed anyone was shot with a shotgun at this point. But again, that could change as we, again, there are hundreds and hundreds of witnesses, and as we piece all of this back together, information will come to light that we may not have at this point. So I do not believe so at this point.
We'll take one more question. Will body cam footage of radio dispatch or any logs be released in the near future?
I'm sorry, say again.
Will there be any body cam footage or radio dispatch logs or incident reports being released anytime soon?
We will work with the state attorney's office, which we always do, in pulling together all the information, all the investigative evidence from this case, and in collaboration with State Attorney Campbell, we will make that determination. Obviously, after the case is over, we will certainly, it all becomes available at that point. But as to what we can and will release at that point, like I said before, we're very open, transparent on these things. Again, the officers did an incredible job. But again, some of this is very horrific. This is a horrific incident. And so we will, again, collaborate with the state attorney's office and determine which of that evidence could be released or will not be released. But again, I'll let you know that as soon as we make that determination. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here. And just let me reiterate what's already been said. The collaboration between all of the agencies, the federal, the state, the local, all of our first responders, our EMS personnel, our fire department, again, just a massive response, immediate treatment to the victims that were there, the transport of them. Again, it was a very seamless response to this tragedy. And that goes to the training that we all do repeatedly, individually as agencies and together. The incident command came together very, very quickly. And again, I could not be more proud of the response and more horrified at the act. So thank you very much.
Can you please just real quick verify again one more time the number of people injured and dead? Our number was 8. I heard you say 9.
Sure. Total number of 9. That includes the suspect. So there are 6 victims that are injured, 2 victims that are dead, and 1 suspect. And that's let me just reiterate this because I'm not sure we said this. We have no reason to believe at this point that he did not act alone. So there is no further threat to our community at this point. So thank you very much.
That was Chief Revel, who just ended the news conference along with other officials there talking about what happened. Right now we have 2 people dead, 6 people are injured, and 1 suspect. So a lot to recap here, including the suspect's mother is a Leon County deputy. Let's send it out now to Forrest Saunders, who's going to go into some more details. Forrest?
So obviously we just got a lot of those details, those crucial details that we have been waiting for. Why don't we start with the number impacted from this shooting? It sounds like 2 were confirmed killed, 5 were injured. We told you earlier in the day that there were a number of those people at TMH here in Tallahassee receiving treatment for injuries. We do also know that the 2 that were confirmed killed were not students. That is what officials are telling us. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. The gunman opened fire approximately around noon, and officials were able to identify him. It sounds like this is the son of a deputy, a Leon County Sheriff's deputy, a resource officer actually here in town, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And we don't have many more details other than he was involved in basically a standoff with law enforcement. They asked him to comply. He did not do so, was using a handgun. They did, it sounds like, engage him, take him into custody, and they do have him in custody right now. He is receiving treatment at a local hospital. We don't know which one that is, but that is sort of the latest of what they told us. Again, just to recap, 2 fatalities, 5 injured. The shooter taken into custody after engaging with police officers. Doesn't sound like he shot them, but that maybe they were they needed to use their service weapons in order to detain him. Unclear, but he is being treated at a hospital now for injuries that he sustained. I will remind you that earlier in the day, right here behind me, we saw a gentleman being loaded into an ambulance. He was shackled and taken off of the crime scene here to a local hospital, we suspect. No idea if that was in fact the shooter, but apparently, we also know that this was his mother's previous service weapon that he was using. This is a handgun again, and that he was able to get his hands on that service weapon and use it at the student union behind me. Again, I apologize. We're just now recapping some of these details from law enforcement, but that's sort of the very latest here. What I can tell you is, at least here on campus, they have lifted a large portion of the lockdown, but the student union remains a crime scene and some of the surrounding areas. We have been pushed back about 2 or so blocks from the student union for good reason, which is that this is a large crime scene. Another thing I want to point out, 1 shooter. Law enforcement, before they departed in that press conference, they wanted to quell a rumor that's been going around that there might have been 2 shooters. Now, we understand that Tallahassee Police was actually having an active shooter drill today, and there was some question of whether or not there was some mixed lines of communication. 1 shooter is what law enforcement says. They do not believe that there is any indication that there are multiple shooters, just 1 person, and that person was taken into custody. What's next for this campus? That is the big question, but we do know that officials will be giving us more information as this situation progresses.
Yeah, certainly a lot to unfold there. Thank you so much, Forrest, for that update. I know you'll be staying on the scene until it's all clear there. Thank you so much. And so further details, the suspect's name is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And again, he had access to his mother's weapon. His mother is a Leon County deputy and school resource officer. We'll be bringing you more details as the night goes on, but we're going to turn it now to Kenya Cardone with an update on where she's at. Students have been reacting to us all day, just sharing their experience through all this. Kenya, what's the latest?
Hey Jade, yes, we've moved upwards now. This is where we're at this scene. This is Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue, where students were coming out of campus and evacuating into the buses here. You can still see law enforcement presence still here at this intersection, kind of blocking everything down. As we came up here, we ran into Zach here. Zach is a graduate student and a professor here. He says that he heard some of the commotion going on. Zach, talk about what you witnessed.
Yeah, so I was just minding my own business, replying back to an email to one of my students, and I ended up heard a pop going on right outside. And I thought, I didn't think much of it at the time, but all of a sudden I heard a screaming, made it sound like that someone was screaming to maybe the victim that could have been shot, possibly. Don't know for sure, but I tried to look out the window to see what was going on, but unfortunately there were a bunch of trees that kind of, blocked the way. So, but once we got word of it, basically tried to do what we could to get to safety, make sure the doors were locked, lights out, that whole thing. And, with another grad student that we were basically just kind of locked in, try to keep quiet, do the best we could given the circumstances.
Absolutely, and kind of talk me through emotions, thoughts when you first heard that pop.
Again, I didn't really think much of it in that perspective, but once I heard the shots, I realized something was a bit serious, that it was probably more serious than I had initially thought. So,
and if I may, you said you heard a scream. What could you tell what they were screaming?
I couldn't make it out, but based on the tone and all, I'm guessing it was possibly the name, possibly of someone that may have been a victim to a gunshot wound of some kind. I'm guessing, but I didn't actually see anything to know for sure.
Absolutely. And so, we've been showing all day here that students are coming out here and evacuating into the buses. It's cleared for now, but Zach was here as well, kind of assisting law enforcement to keep everybody calm and get onto those buses, evacuate to safety. What was that like, Zach?
I actually was felt a bit thankful to try to help the law enforcement because, they do so much for us, trying to, risk their lives to keep us safe, so I wanted to try to pay them back in some shape or form.
And what was the condition of the students and staff as they were walking onto the...
There were still some tense moments. Actually, at one point, there was quite a panic that had occurred in the building I was in, that students were running out, but law enforcement reassured them that it was safe to go back into the building, and I was just doing what I could, namely just propping the door open as people were trying to get to a higher level ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And as students were getting into those buses, what was the emotion, the weight?
It could be hard to really say, but I'd imagine some of them may have calmed down a little bit, knowing it was a bit safer, certainly safer than it was before. Some of them still seemed a bit emotional, with crying and all, maybe can't believe this is happening, that kind of vibe.
Absolutely. And so Zach has been out here as some of his personal belongings are in campus. Kind of what's next for people like you who are kind of just waiting to see when can I go back in and get my stuff?
Right now, again, I'm just trying to do what I can to help out these law enforcement officers that are here, just to do what they can, and until they kick me out of here, so to speak, that I'll try to help out as best I can.
Thank you so much, Zach. A good Samaritan here, just trying to help students, staff kind of calm down. As people are walking by, I've heard him saying, hey, are you okay? Just as we have been doing, asking people, are you okay? Do you need anything? Are your friends and family safe? Is everybody okay? Kind of assessing the situation as they were nervously coming in and out of campus, thinking what just happened. It's like I've said all afternoon, people feel it's just hard to take it in. They're still reeling in. It is so shocking that for many of them, it hasn't even hit them. So as the situation continues here, we still see a heavy police presence on Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue, blocked off for quite some distance here. We'll keep looking at the situation, but for now, things have calmed down just a little bit more. Jade?
All right, Kenya. So tell us, you've been out there all day. What's been your biggest takeaway from this situation?
I would say shock and everybody I've spoken with says, I can't believe that this happened. We see this on the news. We see this when it happens in national other states, even here within Florida in the past, many recalling on other shootings that we've seen in the US, and thinking you always see it, but when it happens closer to you, it's like, my goodness, you never thought. That's what most people are telling me here. Law enforcement still on the scene heavily doing their job. I would say the biggest takeaway is the people of FSU shocked, reeling in, trying to get to safety. Law enforcement telling people, if you don't leave and get to safety, you're not letting us do our job. It's kind of been a mix of, making sure people are safe, but kind of being stern to make sure that people take this seriously, that this is an active scene. Jade?
All right, Kenya Cardone, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you in a little bit. And we have Maya Sargent, who was attending that news conference. And what we learned from that news conference, 2 people died and there are 6 injured. That includes the shooter. So we have more information from Maya Sargent. Maya, tell us what you're learning.
Yeah, Jay, just coming out of this press conference, I think the one thing I'm taking away immediately is just how heavy the energy was in the room. Just a really, really sad day. That was echoed by the FSU president. It was echoed by Sheriff Walt McNeil. It was echoed by the TPD chief, Lawrence Revel, as well. Everyone just really, again, that Kenya touched on it, but that feeling of just like shock and startled, and just very, very heavy energy in the room. Again, learning the 2 victims that are deceased are not students. That was confirmed by the TPD chief. And then 5 individuals have been transported with gunshot wounds to the hospital. So again, going back to that feeling of just shock and startled, and just like such a heavy day for campus. We've been speaking with students earlier from the Reunification Center, where we've been told are offering counseling and resources to students. If they need support, they can go over there. But just hearing from them that just complete shock, and they just were telling me that they want to go home, and just a really, really heavy day, and that energy was definitely felt in that room during that press conference. And again, they say this is an active, ongoing situation, so we're waiting to learn more details as they get rolled out. But for now, I think just the one biggest takeaway is the shooter identified as a Leon County Sheriff's Office deputy's son. So just a really heavy day for law enforcement, for the university, and just building back from this is going to be an interesting one, Jade.
Mm-hmm. And the mood of the room at the press conference, what was that like? Mm-hmm. Officials pretty much stay buttoned up and don't express their feelings. What was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think, Jade, just really, really heavy. I was with TBD Chief Lawrence Revel earlier this week, and just seeing him sort of get emotional behind the stand. I think it's just, you can tell the toll that this day has had on the university, on its students, on law enforcement. As we said earlier, Tallahassee is such a close-knit, tight-knit community, and so something like this will have reverberations that go across campus, and we're going to see the effects of those, I think, continue days, weeks, months, even years. I'm sure beyond this will be a day that a lot of us will keep in our minds. But again, just that heaviness, and I think that's just the big takeaway. I heard Kenya talk about the shock, and that's definitely something that I think we're all still reeling from. But again, I think from that press conference specifically, if you were in that room, it was so quiet right before that press conference started, and just so much heaviness, so much tragedy in that room, and then learning, of course, the 2 that are deceased, the 5 victims that are injured as well and currently being treated in a hospital. So just an incredibly heavy day. And obviously, as we learn more, as we get more information from law enforcement on this active, ongoing investigation, we will bring that to you as soon as possible. But for now, I think big takeaway is just shock and a heavy, heavy day for FSU and for this community, Jade.
Maya, just one more question. Is there any indication why this person fired the shots on the campus?
According to the TPD chief, the suspect used his rights and declined to comment about anything to do with the case and anything to do with the motive behind the incident. I think the focus for a lot of the questions in there was the victims. We don't have any information about those. TPD chief told us that they're not providing any information about the victims right now, so we're waiting on TMH to learn more about those and their condition, but just the main facts I think that people are taking away from that is the 2 deceased who allegedly are not FSU students, we've been told, and 5 injured. So just thinking about those families, praying for those families who have suffered the consequences of this horrific day, and that was something that was kept being mentioned in the press conference. Just what a heavy day, what a tragic day, and we'll be thinking of the Tallahassee community of FSU as the community continues to build back from this and as we learn more from this ongoing investigation. But right now, just an incredibly, incredibly heavy day here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am. So again, 2 people are dead, 5 were hospitalized, and the shooter was also injured. So the shooter is actually a Leon County deputy's son. His name, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. So law enforcement came together, and we thank them for their response, absolutely. And we're going to send it over to Alberto Camargo, who is at TMH, where those victims are being treated. Alberto?
Healthcare, and the latest update I've received from my contact here at TMH is that the 6 people who are being treated here inside the hospital have gone from serious or critical condition to now fair condition. And they are all 6 people who are obviously involved, victims of the shooting at Florida State's campus. And as you heard earlier, President Richard McCullough saying that he took time this afternoon to come visit the folks here at TMH. And you could hear the president. He sounded very choked up and very emotional about the events of today. As you can imagine, everyone in the FSU community is. That's the latest we have from TMH here. 6 folks being treated for their gunshot injuries here inside the hospital. All of them obviously victims of the shooting this afternoon.
Alberto, and any indication on the severity of those who were injured? I'm not sure if he can hear me, but yeah, we are continuing to follow this story, and Alberto out there at TMH. So again, 2 people are dead. Several were taken to the hospital with injuries, and we do know the shooter is the son of Leon County deputy. So classes are canceled through Friday, and all events with the FSU athletics are canceled through this Sunday, Easter Sunday. So be sure, if you're an employee, to check in with your supervisors, and the counseling is available to students, faculty, and staff. And more video from the scene of the suspect being shackled. And that person was injured in that shooting. He was shot by police. His name is Phoenix Eichner, 20-year-old. Again, not sure the motive behind the shooting. We are still working to get more details on that, but more information will unfold in the hours and in the coming days. So again, this is a look at the scene at Florida State University earlier. This is video from our viewer, Bryce Vance. And here's a look inside one of the buildings where students were leaving to get to safety. So we will get more information on reaction from students, from Kenya Cardone here in just a little bit. You can see police had to go in these buildings with their long guns to investigate, to make sure the threat was neutralized and that students were safe. So a lot to unfold here on the campus. And we're going to send it out to Leon Abu Tarbush. She is at the Downtown Community Church.
With so much still unknown on Florida State's campus, many students are turning to faith communities, not just for mental and emotional support, but simply for a space to breathe. I'm Leanne Abu-Tarbush in Tallahassee with more on how this local church is helping out. Downtown Community Church is welcoming anyone affected by Thursday's shooting, offering space to pray, talk, or sit quietly. Ben Kemper, who manages outreach at the church, tells me he cannot imagine the fear and heartbreak students are feeling right now.
Heartbroken, I think, is the only word that kind of describes it. I mean, I have 2 kids, and I can't imagine, what my kids would be experiencing if they were there. They're, in elementary school, and imagining, all the students and the chaos and everything. It's just, the whole thing is just, it's tragic and it's heartbroken to see the brokenness that's going on. And so, when we first heard the news, automatically our response was, what can we do to help? How can we be there to serve, right, in the most difficult and vulnerable spaces? And so we decided to open up our space just for anybody and everybody who wants to come in. You don't have to be anybody from any place or any space. You don't have to be any race, religion, creed, age.
The church posted an open invitation on social media encouraging FSU students, staff, and anyone impacted to stop by. They say it's especially important for students from out of state or international background, many of whom are far away from family and home. Ben tells me the church plans to open as more students are expected to come in as soon as they're able to evacuate campus. In Tallahassee, I'm Leanne Abu-Tarbush, ABC 27.
And we'll get back to Leon in a little while. But yeah, the community is coming together to pray for the FSU area and taking a live look at the scene, still blocked off as state troopers and police keep the situation locked down as they still investigate the shooting. Now, as far as we know, many buildings are still active crime scenes, so a lot is still happening there on the campus, and you can see Tallahassee Police and many other law enforcement agencies took part in the news conference earlier today. And just to give you a recap, there could be hundreds or thousands of witnesses to this case. The suspected shooter, has been identified as Phoenix Eichner. He's 20 years old and a son of a Leon County deputy, school resource officer. And the man had access, according to police, to the weapons of his mom. So the weapon used in this shooting was apparently belonging to his mom. So we're going to have more information on that here in just a little bit. But now we're going to send it to Ashley Engel, who is outside a center where students and their parents and counselors, they're all coming together to help them. Ashley?
Yeah, Jay, good evening. Right now, I am in front of the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, and as you can see behind me, there's no students here anymore. All of them were able to reunite with their roommates, their loved ones, and their friends and everything, hugging each other, making sure everyone is okay and safe. And we are actually across the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center because we were told to stay off of the parking lot because media was not allowed to be close to the students or anything. But that's all we have right here at Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. As I said before, students are all picked up, all reunited. But so far, it's pretty much a calm scene. I don't see any police cars anymore around here and everything, but as you can see, no students are in sight right now.
Okay, well, that seems to be some good news. Students have found places to go with their families and just getting to a place where they can just reflect and rest after such a long day. Thank you, Ashley, so much for that report. And just to recap some of the events that unfolded today, 2 people were killed. 5 were taken to the hospital. The suspected shooter, was injured by police during all this. We don't know the motive, but we're working to find that information, and more will obviously be revealed in coming days. So classes are canceled through Friday. All FSU athletics are canceled through Sunday. And the president of the university spoke at the news conference saying he went to the hospital to greet the victims and talk to them. And he said that FSU police immediately were able to neutralize the suspect. And you can see the roads are still closed off there to campus. So basically, one phrase that they're using is that we'll get through this together. That's an important message from the FSU president who spoke during the news conference. And troopers are out there. You saw a student just walk by. You can imagine that the students are just taking it all in and trying to figure out why this happened at their school that is usually a safe place. But law enforcement, they all came together from near and far to focus in on this investigation and help the students on campus, make sure they're safe and make sure that there weren't any more threats. So still some of the buildings, as far as we know, are still active crime scenes. And as far as they know, there is not another person or suspect involved in this. This was, again, the sheriff's office saying that one of his school resource officers, their son, is accused in this crime. So a mass shooting taking place on the campus at Florida State University today. It happened around noon, and it is 5:14, and law enforcement, they have been on the scene for hours because of this situation. So something you don't see on the FSU campus. In fact, it's been since 2014 the last major shooting happened, and I was actually there for that during that coverage. So this is something that doesn't happen often, and unfortunately it happened today. So the Tallahassee Police Department is taking lead on this officer-involved shooting, and again, there are multiple crime scenes that they're taking a look at. Still, some of the buildings being investigated. Again, so the suspect had access to his mom's weapon and fired the shots on the campus, according to police and law enforcement there at the news conference. And here is a live look. Again, you don't want to go near the FSU campus because a lot is still happening there on site. Students are going to the center. They've been there to get help, get counseling, and just kind of grasp what has happened today. I know it is hard to grasp, I'm sure, for the students there, but Forrest Saunders is here with us for this coverage. He's our Capitol reporter, but today he's on the scene. Forrest?
Hey, yeah, this is not my 9-to-5 job, right? Unfortunately, the last few years have brought tragedy after tragedy, and I've been doing this kind of thing a lot more than I expected, but nothing quite like this. Mass shooting situations are not something that anyone should experience. I am grieving with these kids in a sense because I have never experienced anything like this, so it's hitting me naturally. I mean, and you can really feel it here, right? There's not a lot of jovial college students on campus thinking about graduation now. This place is silent. Other than law enforcement vehicles running in the background and a few flashing lights, you could hear a pin drop on the FSU campus on Friday. It has been a tragic and unbelievable few hours. I lack the ability to describe it because it's so sad. You know what really stuck with me, and I keep mentioning it because it is like watching a movie. It is like seeing the Twilight Zone. When kids heard those gunshots, they ran, and they left behind everything that was in their hands. They dropped sodas, they dropped food, they dropped their laptops and their book bags, and they ran for cover, for shelter, and all of that stuff has just been lying around campus here. I can't tell you the number of people that I talked to that had tears in their eyes, and they didn't even know why they were crying. They were safe, they were okay, but they just were overcome by the moment. The terror. That's the feeling out here amongst a lot of these students. So many people crying with a cell phone in their hand, calling their friends or their parents, saying that they're okay, and hoping that their other friends are too. It's horrible. The individuals that I've talked to, their individual experiences, they vary. You know, one guy said that he heard at least 10 shots. And we're finding out, of course, that this was a handgun. This was actually a sheriff's deputy's former service weapon that she purchased after it went out of commission. And the shooter was able to get his hands on it and use it to injure and kill. Last casualty count I heard was 2 fatalities, 5 injured. The shooter himself taken into custody. This is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner is his name, son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy, a school resource officer here in Tallahassee. A lot of people just stunned right now, not sure what to do next. Found myself among them. It is hard to say what comes next because people were thinking about graduation a few hours ago, and now this. This is not what kids should be focused on at school. That is the latest out here, at least, when it comes to the feelings on campus. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
All right, Forrest, thank you so much. Yeah, it's certainly a heavy day at Florida State University. Tell us, is there any indication that the scene will wrap up anytime soon?
No. Law enforcement is going to be here for the duration. We were actually about, I'd say, 100 feet or so away from the student union at one point. We were pushed back because we were told that is an active crime scene. It is going to remain an active crime scene probably for hours, if not days. And the reason is because it's such a large area here on campus. You got to remember, the student union is a gathering place. It's a hub here on the FSU campus. And the reason that it is because it has food, it has study space. This is a place where kids meet. It's an icon on campus where everybody says, hey, at noon, I'm going to meet you there. And that's exactly the time that this shooter started opening up gunfire, right? Was right around the noon hour. Its most busiest time. And students had to scatter. It looks like this area is going to be locked down for a while. We don't have specifics, but law enforcement, a number of them, dozens, maybe hundreds of law enforcement still down there, searching the scene, collecting evidence, and working their butts off to try and figure out why this happened, right? They do have a suspect in custody. We mentioned that he is being treated at a local hospital as well. But for now, this area remains locked down. The rest of the campus, though, the lockdown has been lifted, and that is because law enforcement was able to go door by door, every building here on campus, and make sure that there were no other victims, that there were no other threats inside of those buildings. In fact, we watched it happen. We saw law enforcement knocking on a bathroom door right across the street from the student union. They found a student inside with the door locked, trying to stay safe. That's what's happening right now on this campus. People are trying to figure out how to move forward after something like this. Again, lockdown has been lifted, and law enforcement says that most of the campus is now free for students to return to. You will see some of them coming back to get the stuff they left behind, pick up their book bags, their school supplies, get in their cars, get out of here. That's what a lot of them are doing. I have seen a number of students who are carrying luggage, ready to go home for the weekend, unsure when the school is going to resume, but obviously cancel classes, that makes a lot of sense. And just a lot of people trying to figure out what's next.
All right. Thank you so much, Forrest, and being out there all day and bringing us the latest details. We appreciate that. Thanks again. We'll see you in a little bit. And so, Forrest is talking about the confusion among the students. I mean, this is just a lot to take in. So they'll be able to get back on campus and maybe get some of their belongings that they may have left behind. This is video from earlier in the day where students were leaving one of the buildings on the campus with their hands up. You can see them chatting with one another as they move through the building. Had to be pretty scary to be going through that. I just can't imagine what they went through. But here's a look at the scene of the campus from earlier today from our viewer, Bryce Vance. You can see law enforcement there moving through the area of the campus. So many buildings are still being investigated, and it'll be a crime scene for some time. But classes are canceled today and tomorrow, and athletics are canceled through Sunday. There are police with their long guns, and they were there to make sure there was no other threat in buildings there. Live look now at one of the roads that's blocked off there with law enforcement, just making sure that folks don't drive into the campus there. So 2 people were killed and several others were injured and taken to the hospital. A suspect was also shot by police. So we're learning more details on who that person was or is currently being charged in this crime. The suspect is the son of a deputy, a school resource officer, the sheriff said in the news conference, and the suspect's name is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. We're learning details about him, and we'll bring you the latest information. But from what the sheriff said, he was able to get a hold of one of his mom's weapons, and was also on the sheriff's office youth advisory council. So many questions as to why this shooting took place, what the motive is behind the shooting. But we are covering every detail and development of this case. So law enforcement there still on scene, as you can see, several hours after the shooting took place. It took place around 12 today. And Kenya Cardone is there. She has been getting student reaction, talking to students and finding out what they're going through. Kenya?
Yeah, Jade, absolutely. I'm still standing at the intersection of Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue, where, again, police presence very, very heavy as the scene kind of continues. And I want to kind of share some information that I just got from a student who is just by the buses. We've been here all afternoon as students were evacuating the campus and going onto the buses. I just spoke with a student. He's still processing the situation. He's not quite ready yet to go on camera, but he tells me that he was going to go to the student union today, and something told him he made a decision to take a shower before he headed out there, and that miraculous decision saved his life from heading to the union and finding himself in a terrible situation. And it gets crazier after that. He goes on to tell me that now that we know the suspect's name, it instantly rung a bell because he has a class with him. He sits next to him in class. And he describes the suspect as somebody who was quiet and perhaps socially awkward, didn't have much interactions with him, but knowing that he sat next to the suspect, he said it's something that he would have never imagined, sitting next to somebody, thinking that anybody, of course, allegedly would be capable of something like that, or this situation unfolding, knowing it was a classmate that he had. So just hearing that sent chills down my spine. I'm still talking to students as they're coming in and out of campus. I'm asking them if they're okay. Most of them okay, just trying to figure out how to get to where they're going since the school was on lockdown for quite some time. So that's the situation there. I just wanted to share that chilling testimony from that student who says it was something that saved him from going to the union, and turns out that suspect is somebody that he shares a class with. Jade?
Wow, that's really powerful to hear that. very frightening situation. And Kenya, you've been out there all day long since this shooting took place. Tell us, are students able to get back on the campus now?
Yes, some of them have been coming back into campus. They're able to now go down the stairs instead of being evacuated out. I've seen that some law enforcement, depending on what people are trying to get to, if they say, oh, my purse is in that building, an officer might go in and get it for them just to be safe. But I have seen students kind of start to trickle back in compared to the situation. Sorry, I'm just wanted to show you the law enforcement officers there. You can see that they're one of them is packing up and either moving or leaving. So yeah, sorry, I was explaining that students are able to go back into the building a little bit, not that strict presence of law enforcement saying you have to get out because it's not allowing us to do our job. So that's what that's looking like here. Oh, it seems that some of them are kind of leaving or heading a bit further, as you can see, and hopefully that's a good sign. Some of them are leaving, kind of clearing the scene out there. Sorry, but of course, it's a live situation. We're kind of evaluating things as they play out. So it seems that some of the vehicles have been leaving. One more thing I do want to tell you, and it's kind of a lot of students as they were coming out, they're saying, where do I go? I can't go anywhere. My car is here. I can't go anywhere. And I was saying, well, officers are directing them across the street or into buses. And actually, just a few moments ago, I don't see them doing it anymore, but the cathedral that's across the street, we saw a lot of people going there to kind of find respite, and just a few moments ago we actually saw some people playing frisbee there. Such a contrast to the tense situation here on campus, and just across the street it seems that the community is trying to do something to help each other take their mind off of that tense situation, and for the time being frisbee was the solution. And the whole thing is just jarring, chilling to hear from students coming in and out and trying to take every minute by minute to assess the situation and move forward. Jade, that's the latest here.
Yeah, that's certainly a lot to take in, but glad to see it's a little more relaxed from the tension you spoke of earlier. Where do students go from here? I mean, tell us what you've heard from folks as they kind of get together their thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm asking, that's every person I'm interviewing, I'm asking them, so what's next for you? They're kind of just trying to get to their belongings or trying to get somewhere else. I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately people are just telling me, I don't know. I just have to figure it out. I'm calling my family. The most important thing right now is that they're safe. They're just trying to get to their belongings, trying to get to their cars if they can. Like I said, a lot of the law enforcement vehicles have cleared out since we were first here. It was packed. Now that many of them have cleared out, a lot of them are now able to access their cars a bit more and head out. And if it's still deeper in campus where law enforcement are on scene, they might have to wait a little bit longer out here. Somebody we interviewed earlier actually said he was going to stick around a little bit more until the scene cleared, because it's not only that you can't get to your belongings, it's also that you don't want to if you know that the scene is still active and you don't want to be in the way, and it's such a tense situation. You don't know what you're going to run into or what you're going to see. So it's a little bit of mix of that uncertainty, that fear, and also the lack of access that's just now starting to open up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do I stay or do I go? Do I just wait it out to get my things? Or do I just wait a moment? I can't imagine the confusion and just shock that they're all feeling right now. Thank you so much, Kenya. And we'll check back in with Kenya in a little bit, but as you could see, some of the law enforcement vehicles were leaving the area, so hope that some of these roads will get back open. But again, 2 people are dead from this situation. Several people were taken to the hospital, and the suspected shooter was shot by police. So there's an investigation into that as well. So with more details on everything that happened in the news conference, we're going to send it to Maya Sargent. Maya?
Jade, yeah, I've just been speaking with TBD Communications Director, and he was telling me that the victim count, that 6 are in hospital, 5 have gunshot wounds, 1 does not, and 2 are deceased. So they're the official numbers. They said that those numbers kind of changed. They wanted to provide some clarification to us following that press conference. And they also said that no more press conferences right now will be held today, that all updates will go out on social media. They said that's because there's just so many department heads working on this situation right now, and so that's the easiest way to streamline information. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on those social media channels for all of those updates. Again, no additional press conference today planned as of right now, just hearing that from TPD. But I just heard Kenya talking about the students. That's really where I think all of our focus is right now, is definitely the focus of it in the press conference. Leon County Sheriff's Office, TPD, FSU President, all saying that the students are the main priority and making sure that they are safe. As they did clarify, it is still an active scene down by the student union. But I had previously been seeing students walking up and down this road. We're just off Tennessee Street. Now there are no students here, but we are seeing some more cars moving, so this area has opened up a little bit. But again, I heard Kenya saying that students just not really wanting to be around. That's definitely something we've been hearing, just that confusion, that shock, that just startled by the entire situation. And I had a chance to speak with a couple of students who came by earlier from the Student Reunification Center, where they're now offering counseling services and support and resources. We heard that mentioned in the press conference as well, and they again just touched on that shock that they've been feeling from today's incidents.
So what would you say was the message from the president to the students on campus? I know he spoke at the news conference.
Absolutely, just really somber, Jade. I keep saying the word heavy, but just a truly devastating situation, a really just devastating mood, a devastating atmosphere. I said earlier, this is not an event that comes on our radar a lot in the UK, and so it's very startling and jarring for us as reporters, and then also for students as well. And I had a chance to speak with some earlier, and this is what they told me.
I'm flat out just like, what the hell's going on? I have no clue. I've never been in this situation before. I prepared all through high school, but in the moment, it's like all that goes right out of your head. All you're thinking about is, how can I be safe? How can everyone around me be safe? I texted my parents, I'm like, I want to go home. And I'm not saying dorm, I want to go home.
Again, that heaviness we've just been feeling all day, and just that shock. I mean, that student I spoke to earlier is a freshman, and he told me that he lives on campus in a dorm, and so the thought of going back to that dorm room and back on campus just feels completely baffling right now, and just not something that he wants to do. All he kept telling me was that he wants to go home. He texted his parents and he just said, I want to go home, not my dorm room home, but my home, which for him is just outside of Philadelphia. So again, just thinking about those students, thinking about those families of those victims that are in hospital, the people who are deceased from this, it's just, again, I go back to that word heavy, just a really devastating situation that's been touched on by all parties involved. And that heaviness is going to descend on Tallahassee as it is already. And for this close-knit community, it's going to be a long time to build back from this, Jade.
There's going to be a lot of healing taking place, Maya, that's for sure. Thank you so much for bringing all this information to us. We appreciate you, and I'll check back in with you in a little bit. So I want to let everyone know there is a vigil happening not too far away at 6 o'clock at City Church off North Monroe. That'll certainly be an event that you may want to attend, to be with the students, the faculty and staff of FSU. Many college students go to that church, so a vigil is going to be a great thing for people to attend. That's happening again at 6 p.m., so just in about 25 minutes tonight. Taking another live look at the scene here on Tennessee Street. We have some troopers still blocking the scene. We did see some officers leaving the area, so that could be a sign that the roads are opening up back up again around the campus. So you can see some, looks like a mother and her 2 children walking by. So as Kenya said earlier, things are calmed down a bit since that shooting earlier this afternoon. It happened around 12 p.m. and FSU sent out an alert to students to stay locked down and stay away from doors and windows. And just the events that unfolded after that, students had to barricade the doors to keep themselves safe. We saw one image of a piano being used to block the door. So certainly a frightening situation on the campus today. Police do believe the suspect acted alone, and the suspect was taken to the hospital. He's been identified as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, the son of a Leon County deputy. And a gun, police say, was recovered from the scene that belongs to his mother. So the suspect got a hold of his mother's gun, according to the sheriff's office. And he was injured in a shooting with police. Police fired shots at him, according to the news conference earlier today. And the suspect did not shoot back, but that is the information that we learned from police. And an update on the number of victims. 6 victims were taken to the hospital. One of those victims was not actually shot, but the 5 others were. The suspect was injured and 2 people are dead. Big events happening on the campus at FSU today. Something that seemed like it wouldn't happen after we've seen a shooting there 10 years ago. So that was the last big one in 2014. And taking a look at the inside of the building where students were looking to barricade their doors to keep any threats out there. You can see that happening there, and students just hiding out, taking precautions just in case. So there you go. Some video there from Sarah Evans, one of our viewers, looking live at the street where state troopers have blocked the road, Tennessee Street. That's an area that has been shut down for quite some time around the campus. When law enforcement got word of this, many agencies coming together to work this investigation. You've seen law enforcement from parts of the state, and also here locally, the state troopers there just keeping everybody safe, keeping folks from driving in the area. But students have been allowed to go back on the campus, some of them getting their belongings, but some of them just staying back, just wondering if they should go back to campus. So some confusion and shock, but as we learned throughout the day, many students just want to be home with their families after being on campus, whether they witnessed it or not. They just want to feel safe at home with their family. So one resource that was open, a center for reunification, where counselors are available there to help the students. So certainly just still a lot of unknowns. We don't know the motive in the shooting. We don't know why the suspect opened fire. So still, hopefully more details will unfold in coming days. But again, 2 people were killed and multiple people were shot on the campus, and another injury as well. Folks being treated at the hospital, Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, and the shooter was also injured after police fired shots. So events at FSU are canceled. Classes are canceled until Friday, and athletics, everything is canceled as far as that goes until Sunday. So more details will keep coming in. This is a look at the scene from earlier of shackles being put on a stretcher there. And that person was taken to the hospital, the suspected shooter taken to the hospital, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. So we'll stay on top of that to get more details on this person, and more information will be released in the coming days. Again, that vigil is coming up in about 18 minutes, so we will have a reporter there to talk to students attending the vigil. Taking a look at some new video we just got in from a user on X. You can see students rushing off campus here. This is a look at the scene from earlier in the day. Students running away from the school, not knowing what just happened. Shots were fired around 12 p.m. today. And from there, students evacuated from the campus if they could, if they were able to, and got in touch with their loved ones just to tell them they're okay. You can imagine the calls and texts flooding in to the thousands of students at FSU just wondering if they're okay. So here is a look at the students getting off campus in a hurry, some leaving behind their shoes, their backpacks, their food, their personal belongings just left on campus. So some have been returning to get their things. And still there's a lot of their cars left on campus, because you can imagine here they are just leaving in a hurry to get to safety. So we're going to take another live look at Tennessee Street. State troopers blocking off the area where the shooting occurred. Again, 2 people dead, multiple people shot on campus. And we're going to have a story now from a mother and her reaction to all this.
Katie LaGrone, as news of this campus shooting spread online and on social media, parents who have kids at FSU found themselves in a position that sadly has become all too common.
When police arrived,
Sarah Lesh found out through the university's alert system on her phone.
Immediately felt nauseous, just sick with worry.
2 of her sons attend FSU, one set to graduate this year. Fears of a campus shooter had been part of her and her boys' lives for years.
I think this is something that, being an American parent, you have been dealing with for a long time. In high school, they have their drills.
On Thursday, years of drills played out in real time.
Didn't hear from one of them at first. The other one tells me he's going over to pick up his younger brother, and he's waiting in his car because he heard that this had happened and his brother was on campus and he's picking him up. So that made me even more nervous.
At the time, her younger son, a sophomore, was on lockdown in his classroom, right across from the student union where the shootings reportedly occurred.
He's really rattled. This happened right across from where he was taking a class.
And he heard the gunshots?
He said he did hear a gunshot, yeah. So he's pretty shaken up. His friends are safe, but there is somebody that was in one of their clubs that he said was shot in the shoulder.
As details have yet to emerge about what led up to the shooting, who was responsible, and why, this family of Knowles is still processing it all.
You're very aware of it. You just hope that your kids get out of, whether it's high school or college, unscathed.
Next year, their youngest heads to FSU 2, a college they've always felt was safe, but days before Easter, learned it's not immune. I'm I-Team investigator Katie LaGrone, taking action for you.
All right. So, yes, a mother speaking out about her family members and students at FSU, sending thoughts to the parents out there and the students as well. So we're going to get to a statement from the Florida State University president. We are heartbroken. We are grieving with the families, friends, and loved ones of those who were lost. We are holding close those who are injured, and we are standing by everyone who is hurting. That's from President Richard McCullough. So a lot to unpack here from this active shooter situation that started today at noon. Shots were fired, and basically law enforcement, they sprung into action from all areas of the community. Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Office, the FBI spoke at the news conference as well. So A lot is happening with this investigation, and we do know 2 people were killed. And 1 person was involved in the shooting, and the suspect has been identified as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. He is the son of a Leon County deputy, and the sheriff says that the suspected shooter used one of his mother's weapons in these events today. So again, 2 people were killed. 6 people were taken to the hospital. 5 of those people were shot, and 1 had some different kind of injury. But the suspected shooter was also shot. So plenty of people questioning why did this happen, what the motive was, but we do not know that at this time. So law enforcement will continue to work the scene and gather any kind of information. They're speaking to hundreds and thousands of witnesses who may have seen something or heard something or know anything about the suspected shooter. So plenty to stay tuned for, and just try to understand why this took place at Florida State University, as students think of their university as a safe place. But with this mass shooting happening, students are questioning what to do in this situation and what they should do short term and long term as far as this mass shooting that occurred. So now we're going to send it out to more reaction, and we actually have this reaction here in a statement form. Josh Gallagher, who survived the shooting, he says, "No matter your politics, we need to meet, and something has to change. Prayers to the victims and families." So the community is reacting to this, and you can see the video on the screen here showing what the students had to go through. They were leaving campus with their hands up to get to a bus to take them to safety. So this is video of the students in an actual building, law enforcement coming out with their long guns to check to see if there is any more of a threat, and also helping out the students in this situation, this tragic situation that happened in the Seminole community. Students are seen here running away from campus moments after that shooting took place. You can't imagine what is running through their mind as they try to figure out what's happening and where they need to go, leaving their cars on the campus because they want to quickly protect themselves. So just a lot to tell you about on this day. The shooting happening at 12 p.m. Hours ago. Law enforcement, they started to block off the roads, and just it was a fast action from law enforcement to help this case and figure out what is happening. So again, the events at FSU are canceled. Classes are canceled through tomorrow, and athletics, that is, all those sports activities are canceled through Sunday. So again, taking a look at handcuffs being placed on a stretcher there, and more video of the rooms being blocked out. And here is a live look at the scene. You can see people just still on the campus, and also police lights in the background. And we have one of our reporters there who is live on the scene. We're covering every angle of the story, and being everywhere in front of the campus, and also in front of Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. And again, that vigil is happening in about 9 minutes at City Church, so we'll have coverage from there as well. Full team coverage on the situation, an unlikely situation that has happened here on April 17th at around noon today. So yes, this is a day that students will not forget, and unfortunately it's something that they will they will remember, even those who are getting ready to graduate here in about a month or so. So taking another look at one of the ambulances that was rushed to the hospital. Looks like the suspect was in that ambulance there being shackled. So he was injured in these events. He was shot by police. 2 people were killed. The suspected shooter opened fire on the campus near the student union. And you can imagine springtime in Tallahassee at FSU, people are gathering there, lots of people gathering there to just meet up with friends and even just enjoy their time on the green space at the campus. So here is another look at that video from Sarah Evans, the students leaving the building with their hands up, not knowing what just happened. Many of them heard the shots fired. Some of the students we talked to heard screams. So these students witnessed a lot today. So we are certainly thinking about them as they try to reflect on what occurred and how they move forward in this situation. So another live look at the campus and more video coming in of the students there. We're certainly keeping you updated on all the events that are happening today. So multiple students reporting that they had to leave their cars on campus. And this is another statement from one of the survivors, Josh Gallagher. He said, in part, no matter your politics, we need to meet and something has to change. Prayers to the victims and the families. So it's just really heavy to hear the information and what students have gone through. And the wife of Governor Ron DeSantis, Casey, has put on Facebook, Florida is heartbroken for the whole FSU family. We mourn the loss of the 2 individuals killed today. I'm grateful for the courageous first responders who ran toward danger to neutralize the shooter and save lives, as well as the healthcare professionals working to save the hospitalized victims. We are praying for their swift recovery and for the entire Florida state community. And there's plenty of people releasing statements on today's mass shooting. And we'll get to more of that here in a little bit. But for now, we're going to send it out to Maya Sargent. And Maya, are folks still gathering where you're at? What are you hearing now?
It's a lot quieter here, Jade, now in terms of pedestrian foot traffic, lots more cars on the road. It was very, very quiet here earlier because law enforcement had parts of the road cut off. Now there's a lot more activity in terms of people getting in cars. I don't know if they're going to be leaving the city, if it's students leaving campus, but not a lot of people on foot, which is obviously not surprising. Lots of cars out on the road, but I think just people still reeling. I think the one thing is this city just feels in shock right now. And again, I heard you talking about people posting on social media. That's something that I'm just constantly reading, is people sending out their thoughts. I've had people from home in the UK reaching out to me like this is making national, international headlines, and a really, really scary day for this community. And I feel like as we report in Tallahassee every day, we know how close-knit this community is and how everyone has each other's backs, and it is so tight-knit that something like this is going to really, really impact this entire community. And I was speaking with students earlier and they were kind of saying the same thing to me. They were saying that it's going to take a long time to build back from this. It's going to be something that is going to people are going to remember. And I had a chance to speak with some students earlier who stepped off the buses at the Student Reunification Center, and they told me a little bit about how they're feeling, and for a lot of them, it was the first time they've ever experienced anything like this.
This would actually happen, especially like in my area or around me, to people I know or my peers. Getting texts from my friends, texting my friends, really was waiting for police to come for us to be safe.
I'm not sure. I mean, I currently live on campus, and I still don't, like, I'll probably be back at my dorm when this is all over, but it's going to be a tough one, that's for sure.
And I think one point that's really important to touch on is that when I was speaking to one of those freshmen earlier who lives on campus in a dorm, who tells me he just doesn't need, the thought of going back is just too much right now, and that he just wanted to go home. But he says that in high school, in school, they get prepared for these things. You go through those active shooter drills. That is something that is drilled into your head at school. And he said that when he was on campus earlier and he got that initial notification, everything that he's been taught just went completely out of his head. So just an indication of the shock, the terror, the fear that I imagine must have been going through students' heads at the time. When we heard from the FSU president during the press conference, and he was saying that that's the main focus right now. It's students, it's faculty, it's staff, it's the campus, it's how to not let an incident like this taint this community and find a way to sort of build back and come together as a community, which we know Tallahassee is so good at doing. But it's just one of those events where you're just sort of reeling from the shock. Everyone feels like they're reeling from all sorts of emotions that we've been feeling. Like I said, we've been out here since 1 p.m. this afternoon, and just constantly seeing these updates come in, constantly seeing the shock really set into this community. And again, it's just how we build back from here. That's a lot of the students are telling me, but I think for a lot of people, it's Easter weekend's approaching. They're going to go home, they're going to spend time with their families, and then it's about what's next for this community. And we're waiting for more updates from TPD, who tell us it is an ongoing active investigation. Hearing from communications director that there is no additional press conference tonight, so we'll keep an eye on social media updates for new information. Jade, back to you.
Thank you so much for that update, Maya. And we'll come back to you here in just a little bit. And we're making some additions to our coverage. We're going to go to the City Church, where a vigil is taking place tonight. That's at 6 p.m. happening now. And we have Ashley Engel. Ashley, tell us who's with you.
Hey, Jade, good evening. I'm here with my pastor of City Church, Pastor Dean and Sarah, and we are here at his church, and he's going to talk with us about, the prayer gathering that they're having. Pastor Dean, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and everything. What made you want to open the doors of City Church to allow people to come in and pay their respects?
Well, we're a multi-generational church that cares about college students, and for what our students went through today at their beloved school, we thought it's really appropriate for our church to come together tonight. The scriptures say we're people who grieve, but we don't grieve without hope. We're hopeful sufferers. So we want to bring the church together tonight for our adults in the church to really show love to our college students, an environment where we can pray together, mourn together, cry together, and also be a hopeful people for the message of Easter together that we'll celebrate this weekend.
Absolutely. And then how many college students do you think is in your college ministry at church?
We have about 500 college students that come to our Tuesday night midweek gathering, and a lot who are here on Sunday morning as well. And they're students who really do believe the gospel of Jesus Christ, who Jesus is and what he came to do for us, to die for our sins. And that is our hope, like who Jesus is, and Easter Sunday that he rose from the grave. And also it's a big thing for our city. Our city has this is a tragedy that few cities experience, far too many, but few cities, experience to this level. And so it's time for us to come together as a community tonight as Christians in this place, or anyone who wants to come the door and have just to pray and grieve together.
Mm-hmm. And then talking about today, what is it about, hope for the future and everything?
Yeah, well, Easter Sunday is coming up, and I think it's actually really appropriate for us that Easter is this weekend, because hope for the future is that Jesus is alive, which means that those who trust in Christ will be alive as well. So again, we're not people who suffer on our own. We suffer together with hope in Christ. Our hope for the future is that people, something like this never happens again in our city. Because there are people who want to follow the Lord, and we're aware that there is wickedness and evil in our society and in our culture. We're not denying that. And that's all the more reason why we look to God during this time. In tragedy, there's two options. Either you move away from God or you move close to him. And my hope will be that folks draw closer to faith because of what we experience in our city today.
And one last question for you. I know we at City Church, we have our Good Friday service and also Easter Sunday at the Tuck. Could you give me any updates that are going to be happening?
Yeah, so our Good Friday service is usually at Ruby Diamond Auditorium on campus. We just found out since school is closed, and appropriately so, we totally understand that. We're going to move our Good Friday services to our building on Sessions Road, our City Church building, at 5 and 7 o'clock on Good Friday evening. And then our Easter service will still be at the Donald Tucker Civic Center at 10 a.m. on Easter Sunday. And we think it's a more important time to celebrate Easter than ever in Tallahassee. So we'll gather on Easter Sunday at the Civic Center at the Donald L. Tucker Center to celebrate the birth of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I hope everybody comes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pastor Dean. I appreciate your time, and I hope a lot of people come out to Donald Tucker Stadium, and I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio. Jade?
Thank you so much. So the vigil is happening now, starting up now at City Church. That was the pastor Ashley was just speaking to. So students are going to be gathering there tonight to just get together with one another and just feel that closeness so that they can get through this all together. After all, that's what the president was saying at the news conference earlier, that we're all in this together, and that's certainly going to be sticking with students at Florida State University after witnessing or just being on campus when that shooting occurred earlier today. So we do want to let you know that Tallahassee police, they are handling this investigation. They're taking lead on it. And if you have any tips, there is a digital tip line you can submit your information to. That's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. It is a tip line where you can call if you have anything, and no information is too small to share with the tip line involving this horrible situation. And we do want to let you know, too, that some of those who were injured were FSU students. 6 people were taken to the hospital. 5 victims had gunshot wounds, and another one had different types of injuries. But the suspected shooter in this situation was shot by police, and so 2 people died. That is just a recap of all that occurred today as a result of that shooting. So the suspected gunman was also the son of a deputy. The Leon County Sheriff's Office announced that during the news conference, a school resource deputy to be exact there. So the gun was found on the campus, a handgun from what we learned earlier today, and the gun belongs to the suspect's mother. So a lot to catch you up on here if you're just tuning in. A shooting happened at FSU today. And it occurred at 12:01 today. FSU, the community, all sprang into action to help the students there, because that is the focus. The students, to help them in this situation, in the aftermath, and everything that occurred. So after 12, law enforcement from all around came to the scene, and many students were barricaded inside the buildings on the campus. So there's a look inside one of the buildings there as students left with their hands up. Very scary situation, and you can't imagine what they're thinking. It's just hard to think of everything that they're going through and having to reflect on now. Some of the students were running from the campus, running from the scene, while others took a bus to get to a safe place. Reunification Center, as FSU is calling it, to reunite with their loved ones, get counseling. Therapy services were available to the students. And tonight there is a vigil. And here is a statement from one of the survivors. After living through the MSD shooting in 2018, I never thought it would hit close to home again. Then I'm in the FSU Law Library. And then he goes on to say, in part, no matter your politics, we need to meet and something has to change. Prayers to the victims and the families. That's from Josh Gallagher, one of the survivors. So a lot of reaction pouring in from not only the students who were there, but also from lawmakers in the community. President Trump even weighing in. He was notified about the shooting. He's aware, and will be giving out some more information later on. But we've heard from Attorney General Pam Bondi. She posted some reaction on Twitter, and also Governor Ron DeSantis, his wife. So a lot of concern coming in from all sorts of folks. And one message the president of the university wanted to say is that we're all in this together, and law enforcement, we're thanking one another for being there to get through this tough day. And they're still on the scene tonight as it is 6:06 on Thursday. The FBI is on the scene at Florida State, and we are in communication with agents on the ground. Our priority is the safety of everyone involved. We will keep updating as we learn more, praying for all. That is from Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General. So again, federal officials are weighing in here. The president on this shooting, we are heartbroken. We are grieving with the families, friends, and loved ones of those who were lost. We are holding close those who are injured, and we are standing by everyone who is hurting. That's from FSU President Richard McCullough. He also spoke at that news conference, and we're going to be thinking of the FSU community because of this terrible, tragic situation here. And taking a look, we were talking about how the students were leaving campus. Here they are running to get to safety. So some running with their phones, probably getting messages from their parents asking, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because once word got out that this happened, nationally, statewide, all the media picked up on it, and everybody knew about it. Word spread so fast. For one, the FSU alert, how they notify students in emergency situations. They sent out the active shooter alert, and it just spread very quickly through social media and throughout our media pages. So here's a look at the actual scene. Law enforcement, they have it roped off as they gather the evidence. Law enforcement there handing off the shackles. The suspect is presumed to be in that ambulance there. So he was injured by police in that shooting, and he did not fire, but this the officer involved, part of it, of course, is being investigated. But when the suspected shooter opened fire, 2 people were killed. 2 people were killed, and 6 others were taken to the hospital. 5 of them were shot, and the 6th person had some other type of injuries related to this shooting. So here is an inside look at some of the buildings. Inside some of the offices, the classrooms, everybody just on high alert. Even after this, you could see where it looks like maybe the police had to breach the door to get in and make sure everybody was safe and that there was no longer a threat there. So now we're going to turn it over to Kenya Cardone. She is live on the campus. Kenya, you've been on this story since noon when this all broke. Tell us, what's the reaction now?
Yeah, as of now, Jade, all I'm seeing is people are stepping out of campus. Many of them walking out of the building. We see them coming in and out. For now, campus is closed. We hear law enforcement telling students, staff, anybody trying to get back on campus, they're being told campus is closed. You kind of have to evacuate. So right now, compared to the scene we saw earlier, all we're seeing now is one law enforcement car here. Of course, on Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue, where we were before, where all the streets were blocked off, still a heavy presence from law enforcement there. We had to come back downstairs near where we saw students being evacuated up towards the buses to get to safety. We've spoken to students. Everyone that walks by says, thank you. Sorry, I'm asking you, are you okay? And they're saying, yes, thank you, I'm okay. They're just checking in with their families. Now that the situation has calmed down, they're just telling their families, I'm safe. We have to see what happens next. Still reeling in from that tragedy that we just have witnessed today, April 17th. We've spoken to people who were near the shooting. They were near it, they heard it. We've spoken to people who weren't near it and were saved by miraculous decisions who say to stay back or to stay away from the union for some reason. We've spoken to so many people throughout the day that we've been bringing you live here on ABC 27. But for now, campus is much quieter, both law enforcement and students. Campus is quieter. People are just walking away, getting back to their belongings now that they can. Jade, I'm going to send it back to you.
And Kenya, you mentioned some interesting things earlier. Tell us about the student who had class with the suspected gunman.
Yeah, that's right. So I spoke with a student who, as soon as he found out the name of the suspect, it immediately struck him and sent chills down his spine and down my spine to hear that he shared a class with the suspect, sat next to him many times, and he describes the suspect as somebody who was socially awkward, quiet, kind of made some. During discussions, they would make comments that most of the class didn't agree with, but overall the student was saying he would have never expected to be sitting next to somebody that allegedly could have been capable of this. And they tell me that, but it's still interesting to hear that that student says it's just sad that whatever troubled that person responsible got to them to this effect. So it's conflicting. That student himself, who I spoke with, said that he was going to spend the day at the student union, decided to take a shower first, and that miraculous decision saved him from entering that situation. And so he says he feels survivor's guilt, and I think that that's probably something a lot of students here might be facing as well, despite terror, fear, uncertainty, confusion of what's going on, what has happened. Some of them who dodged a bullet, if you will, today are feeling that survivor's guilt. Jade?
Absolutely. You make a really good point there, Kenya. So tragedy unfolding on the campus of Florida State University. Kenya, tell us, I see law enforcement behind you. Looks like there's still a big presence where you're at.
Yeah, Jay, there is a bit of a presence here. What I'm seeing is just not as much as before. One law enforcement car here up on Tennessee Street, Woodward Avenue. There is still a major blockage up there of law enforcement, but you're not seeing that traffic from those multiple FSU buses that were lining up to collect students and take them to safety at the Civic Center. Now that street is mostly clear, still blocked by law enforcement, but mostly clear. One vehicle here actually on campus grounds as a sheriff officer here is telling people that campus is closed. So there's still definitely a presence. I mean, just into the entrance that we were at a few minutes ago, still blocked off. Students and confused as to whether they can go back in or not. Still major presence. Just a few moments ago, I did see some caution tape ahead at that intersection, Tennessee Street, Woodward Avenue. When you're looking into this campus, you still see caution tape. So this is something that I am certain of, that they're going to be actively on scene, tackling to, kind of put a wrap on it and get as much information as they can. But as of now, much calmer scene as students kind of trickle away from campus and the select few who may have had something left in here trickle out. Jade?
All right. Well, thank you for that. And I know you're going to be standing by as we go on through the night to bring you more coverage. Thank you so much, Kenya. And yeah, again, let's recap today's awful events. 2 people were killed in an active shooter situation at Florida State University at the student union. So there are people in the hospital recovering at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. And the shooter was taken to the hospital and is in custody. So we're going to turn it over now to our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders. And Forrest, there's still many law enforcement there. Any more word on the investigation?
No, it's going to be a real slog for them because this is such a large campus. That's what law enforcement told us at their press conference at 4:30, is that they have closed down large portions of the campus because this was such a big scene. We were, I would say, right across the street from the student union earlier in the day. We had an opportunity to kind of see how that investigation was coming along, and there were dozens, if not hundreds, of law enforcement officers from all over the place, not just across the state, but coming from out of state as well. You had the FBI there, the U.S. Marshal Service, Florida Wildlife and Conservation. You had local police, you had the sheriff's office, everybody working together to do the thing that they trained to do. In fact, we found out that Tallahassee Police was actually working on an active shooter training session earlier in the day. So they were working on this very kind of scenario as it was unfolding around noon at the student union. Probably going to be a while. They have a lot of evidence to collect. They want to make sure that they build a case and that they get a conviction. As long as the shooter remains alive and is alleged to be the shooter, that is their job, is to make sure that justice is done. You've already heard from the Florida Attorney General, James Uthmeier. You've heard from Governor Ron DeSantis, both of them vowing that justice will be done in this situation. We don't know the motives of this active shooter. We do not know any of the other, horrid details that led up to this instance. But that is something that law enforcement is working very hard on right now. You can see the area behind me. We're about, I'd say, a block and a half or so away from the student union. That whole area is just on lockdown. It is police tape. It is items still on the ground where students left them. They are even being instructed that they will not be able to get their stuff back immediately until those areas have been cleared of any crime scene investigation. So that is sort of where things stand. Of course, we will wait and find out more details at the next press conference. We still don't have the identities of the victims in this tragic situation, but we will be listening and, of course, thinking about them as the night wears on.
All right. Thank you so much, Forrest, for that update. We'll check back in with you a little later on. Thanks again. So again, let's recap. 2 people were killed. 6 people were taken to the hospital, 5 of them with gunshot wounds, another person injured in a different way. Also, the shooter was injured by police gunfire. So he was taken into custody, taken to the hospital, has been identified as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. The suspected shooter, the son of a law enforcement officer, Leon County Sheriff's school resource officer. Learning more details, still trying to find out motive as to why this situation happened. But for now, let's turn it over to Maya Sargent. Hey, Maya, it looks like you changed locations. Where are you at now?
I just moved slightly further around this building. I'm still outside of the Tucker Center where I was earlier, where the press conference was being held. But I wanted to show you some of the traffic that I've been talking about. You can kind of see on the road, I'm seeing cars drive by, which is a lot more of a active car presence compared to previously, but again, not a lot of foot traffic. But Jay, I just wanted to touch is that you spoke about Leon County Sheriff's Office and the shooter being the son of a Leon County Sheriff's Office school resource officer. And Sheriff Watt McNeil spoke about sort of the impact that this situation is having on law enforcement today, and I just want to I want you to listen to this.
It is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation.
Again, we've been speaking about that somber atmosphere, and that's been felt on campus. It's been felt here at the press conference. It's been felt just completely across campus today. But something that they did mention in the press conference that I thought was interesting was that the FBI mentioned that they will be working alongside of TPD, who's leading this investigation, and they have set up a digital tips media line. The TPD chief said that they've got a lot of witnesses in this case, and so the FBI wanted to create a website, and they've done so, and that is fbi.gov/FSU shooting, and you can send photos, videos, anything you have to that website, and they're going to collate all that information. TPD chief telling us they're going to work with State Attorney Jack Campbell in this case, but I think people going home tonight just really reeling from this situation. We've talked to countless students about this situation, and that heaviness has just been felt by everyone. It's been felt by students, it's been felt by law enforcement. Jade, and I just think that's just the one thing that I think we're all taking from this. It's shock. You never expect this to happen. Like the student telling me that they prepare for this, they prepare you for this in school, and it's just something that you just never expect. So I think we're all going home in a state of shock today.
Yeah, it's definitely having an impact on the entire community in Tallahassee and beyond. Governor Ron DeSantis even said that we are all Seminoles today. So whichever team you're rooting for, it's Team Seminole today. Maya, thank you so much for your reporting, and you stay safe out there, and we'll check in with you later. So again, Maya mentioned there is a tip line for folks to submit information to. We have that on our website, WTXL.tv. So no tip is too small to share if you've witnessed or heard any other information about the shooting. We're also getting statements from Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer, and he says, quote, "It is with a heavy heart that we get confirmation of the 2 killed and multiple injured at the hands of a violent gunman at FSU. Thank you to the brave men and women who ran toward danger to save and protect others. My office activated our victims advocate services to provide support to all of those affected by this senseless act of violence." Again, more tributes pouring in, thoughts going out to the victims and their families and the entire FSU community. Now let's check in with Alberto Camargo, who is at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital.
Can you relay your question to me, if possible?
And Alberto, give us the latest.
Yep, thanks, Jade. I'm here outside Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, where all afternoon we've been telling you that there are 6 patients being treated here for their injuries. Earlier I said that all 6 patients were being treated for their gunshot wounds. I've since been told some information that not all 6 patients are suffering from gunshot wounds, but they are all in fair condition. Earlier we told you they were in critical or serious condition. Thankfully, it seems that their road to recovery is going well. And just speaking about how impactful of a day today is, I want to tell you about an event that was supposed to happen on FSU's campus tonight at 5 p.m. It's called Mora's Voice Symposium. Back in 2018, you may remember Tallahassee had a mass shooting at a hot yoga studio where an FSU student by the name of Maura Binkley was killed. And in the years since, Maura's family have continuously come back to preach safety, campus safety around for FSU students. And they were meant to have another event tonight to honor Maura's memory and promote safety on campus, and that event had to be canceled due to today's events. And in conversations with students that I've had this afternoon, you may have heard Forrest Saunders before say that a lot of students left their belongings, backpacks, laptops, food, shoes, right there where they were when the active shooter situation began. And FSU has since put out a bit of a survey for students to fill out with a first, a last name, a phone number, an FSU email address, and to describe the items they may have left in a building or outside in one of the green spaces so that students can begin to recover their items. Obviously, probably not the first thing on a lot of students' minds today, but it's just a sign that things are starting to, or the community is starting to recover. And as we've heard before, there are vigils being held for the victims tonight, tomorrow, and throughout the weekend, I imagine. A lot of events around FSU being canceled, including baseball and softball, 2 very popular teams with a lot of very heavy fan bases around them that are being canceled this weekend as well, as the community begins to recover here.
Yes, thank you for that, Alberto. There is a lot happening, and just thinking about the person with the event that was happening tonight on campus involved in that yoga shooting. It's so just chilling that that was supposed to happen tonight, the same day of this current active shooter situation. So thank you so much, Alberto. We'll talk with you later. So a vigil is happening right now at City Church. That's where many college students attend church and practice their faith. So that's going to be happening, and we're going to have a recap of that coming up a little bit later. But here is a look at the campus from earlier today following the shooting. You can see crime scene tape there, plenty of officers there collecting evidence. Now, the suspected shooter has been identified as Phoenix Eichner, the son of a Leon County school resource officer. So a lot to unpack from that. And I want to let you know that 2 people were killed in this shooting. 6 people were taken to the hospital. 5 of them were shot. Also, the victim was injured by police gunfire. Tallahassee Police is leading this investigation, and they will let us know more details as they're able to. So we still don't know a motive on why this occurred, but you can send in your tips to help them. We have a link on our website, and you can track all of our updates right now at WTXL.tv. And again, the suspected gunman actually used one of his mother's handguns, and that handgun was recovered on the campus at Florida State University. So you can imagine that this piece of evidence is going to be looked at very hard, and hopefully we'll get some answers as to why this occurred on the campus. But taking a look at some of the buildings there, as police likely had to breach some of those doors just to look for any other threats and make sure the students were okay. The FSU alert told students to, if you hear the safe word Seminole, that's the word being used. So that was something that the students had to keep in mind as law enforcement came and checked on them there. Now, this is a video of students leaving one of the buildings, and they had their hands up. This is something that you see on national television, not something you think of happening at Florida State University, but it's become somewhat of a new normal in our society these days. These mass shootings have been taking place for years. But now let's send it over to Maya Sargent for another update of where she's at. Maya, looks like some traffic's coming through there.
Yeah, some traffic, more people on the road. But Jade, you talk about this being an emotional time. That's what they kept referring to in the press conference. The FSU president saying this is a deeply emotional time, and the focus now being students, being faculty, being working out how as a community we can build and build back. And I think that shock that's going to, that's leaving people today, I mean, just that startled shock, just reeling from today's events. And so our thoughts are with the families that have been affected by today's events. Our thoughts are with the Tallahassee community, and we'll continue to provide you updates as we learn more, as all of the law enforcement involved today shares continued updates. Jade.
We will make sure that we do everything.
And thank you for that, Maya. And just a quick recap before we let you go. 2 people were killed at a shooting on Florida State University's campus at the Student Union, and 6 others were wounded, 5 of them shot, 1 had some other injuries. Also, the suspected shooter was hit by gunfire by Tallahassee Police, and the Tallahassee Police Department is leading this investigation. So there are police officers still on the campus at Florida State University. There's help for students. We have many of those details on our website at WTXL.tv, so be sure to follow us there, and we'll be back at 11.